Chapter 1849. Rumble. Not long after the little Qilin left, another earth-shattering rumble resounded from the Wuheng cave. Following that, the entire Wuheng cave completely collapsed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just when the Wuheng cave collapsed, 3 silhouettes charged out from the Wuheng cave at a terrifying speed. Human demon. With a single glance, Ningyu determined that one of the 3 silhouettes was the human demon. The other 2 are the cultivator in blue and the cultivator in white. Zhao Hang and Meng Chang'an's gazes were on the 2 cultivators behind the human demon. The current situation was already very clear. The cultivator in blue and the cultivator in white were working together to capture the human demon. However, the cultivator in blue and the cultivator in white had their cultivation dropped to the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. They had yet to reach the perfected Saint Realm. After all, this was the celestial spirit realm. With the existence of the plane barrier, it was reasonable for their cultivation to be suppressed to the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. On the other hand, the human demon's cultivation wasn't any weaker than the cultivator in blue and the cultivator in white. Pinnacle of the Saint Realm. The human demon's cultivation had also reached the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Ningyu. After coming out of the Wuheng cave, the human demon's first reaction was to retreat as far as he could. Although he had refined the things that he had taken from Meng Chang'an and his cultivation had recovered to the pinnacle of the Saint Realm, the 2 cultivators that were chasing after him were on par with him. The human demon knew that this wasn't the time to show off. He had to retreat as soon as possible to prevent the cultivator in blue and the cultivator in white from pincer attacking him. However, just as human demon was about to retreat, his eyes suddenly caught sight of Ningyu not too far away. This discovery came as quite a shock to the human demon. The human demon wasn't shocked because Ningyu had reached the pinnacle of the heavenly supreme realm, but because this place was dangerous. So why would Ningyu come here? Meng Chang'an, leave with Ningyu first. I'll hold the 2 of them back. The human demon didn't think too much. He immediately instructed Meng Chang'an to bring Ningyu away while he stayed behind. Xiao. As he spoke, the human demon turned around and charged towards the blue-clothed and white-clothed martial artists. Senior human devil, you don't have to worry about me. We're here to take you away. Ningyu shouted when he saw the human demon turn around and charge at the blue-clothed and white-clothed cultivators. The reason he stayed behind was to ensure Ogre's safety. Now that the human devil had turned around and launched an attack, it was completely inconsistent with his original intention of staying. Without the protection of the Wuheng cave, we might be able to catch one alive. Zhao Heng's opinion was different from Ningyu's. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly as a strange smile appeared on his face. Then, he stomped on the ground and charged towards the battlefield at a terrifying speed. Seeing Zhao Heng join the battle, Meng Chang'an's mouth opened slightly. He looked at Ningyu and said, Zhao Heng's words are not without reason. Launching an attack at this time is the best choice. I know what you mean. How could Ningyu not know what Meng Chang'an was thinking? With a flick of his wrist, he tossed the demonic lotus flame out. Meng Chang'an possessing the demonic lotus flame and not possessing it were 2 completely different levels of combat power. Since the demonic lotus flame was in Ningyu's hands, he had no way of contending with the blue-clothed martial artist and the rest. Might as well lend the demonic lotus flame to Meng Chang'an for the time being. Stay here and don't move first. Receiving the demonic lotus flame that Ningyu tossed out, Meng Chang'an's face lit up and he hurriedly joined the battlefield. Looking at the people fighting fiercely on the battlefield, Ningyu felt a little puzzled. The Wuheng cave exploded and the blue-clothed and white-clothed martial artists chased out. All sorts of signs revealed strangeness. Logically speaking, there should still be 4-horned and 5-horned demonic beasts inside the Wuheng cave. Why had they not come out until now? Ningyu did not believe that the 4-horned and 5-horned demonic beasts had all died in battle. because with the human devil's individual combat power, it was absolutely impossible to face 4 powerhouses of equal strength at the same time. 4-horned demonic beast, 5-horned demonic beast, blue-clothed martial artist, white-clothed martial artist. After the collapse of the Wu Hung Cave, the combat power of the 4 should be on the same level. Even if the human devil had seriously injured the 4-horned and 5-horned demonic beasts, it was impossible for him to kill them. And since the 4-horned and 5-horned demonic beasts were not dead, they would definitely come out. Whoosh! As expected, Ning Yu's guess was right. Just as he thought of this, 2 figures suddenly sprang out from the collapsed ruins of the Wu Hing Cave. These 2 figures were none other than the 4-horned and 5-horned demonic beasts. However, their current strength was only around the mid-stage sage realm. Ning Yu did not have the slightest fear of the 4-horned and 5-horned demonic beasts at this level of combat power. You guys deal with the blue-clothed martial artist and white-clothed martial artist. Leave these 2 beasts to me. The corners of Ning Yu's mouth curled up slightly. The Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness surged as he immediately went forward. Ning Yu's speed was very fast. In almost an instant, he was entangled with the 4-horned and 5-horned demonic beast. Something's wrong. However, Ning Yu had just started fighting with the 4-horned demonic beasts when his expression changed drastically. He hurriedly executed a powerful attack to force them back. The reason why Ning Yu chose to force them back was not because Ning Yu was no match for them, but because Ning Yu had discovered an extremely familiar aura within the 4-horned demonic beast's body. This aura was very familiar to Ning Yu. It only took him 0.1 seconds to know who it belonged to. Lu Chuanji. The owner of this aura was none other than Lu Chuanji. Come out. I know you've forcefully possessed him. Ning Yu unsheathed the black dragon sword and said in a solemn tone, human martial artist, possessing a demonic beast with a human body and a horse's head. How could you do that? Ah! The 4-horned demonic beast threw its head back and laughed. Then, it said in a cold tone, why do you care who I possess? Do you know how powerful the explosion of the Wu Hung Cave was? If I hadn't possessed the 4-horned demonic beast at the critical moment, I'm afraid I would have become a pile of dried corpses by now. Do you think you're my match, just because you've possessed the 4-horned demonic beast and controlled the 5-horned demonic beast? Ning Yu injected Yuan Qi into the black dragon's sword as he said indifferently, killing you is like slaughtering a dog. Who doesn't know how to brag? Although my cultivation has dropped a lot and I'm seriously injured, killing a pinnacle sky supreme martial artist like you is as easy as killing an ant. The 4-horned demonic beast, no, Lu Chuanji, said fiercely. He had forcefully possessed Lu Chuanji after being seriously injured. The current Lu Chuanji only had 10% to 20% of his peak strength. He had dropped from the pinnacle sage realm to the mid-stage sage realm. Ning Yu might not be able to deal with a pinnacle sage realm martial artist, but he was confident that he could deal with a mid-stage sage realm martial artist. Even if the mid-stage sage 5-horned demonic beast was added to the equation, Ning Yu was still fearless. The 5-horned demonic beast was just an illusory beast. Its existence was completely dependent on the Wu Hung Cave's array formation. Now that the Wu Hung Cave was destroyed, the 5-horned demonic beast could only hold on for a few more minutes. As long as the 5-horned demonic beast disappeared, would Ning Yu still be afraid of Lu Chuanji? Chapter 1850. Let's see who's more powerful. After the black dragon sword was filled with Yuan Qi, Ning Yu let out a low roar and quickly dashed out. He waved the black dragon sword in the air, and in a split second, several sword lights separated from the black dragon sword. Walala! The several sword lights weren't too big at first, but as they moved forward, they grew bigger and bigger. Chi-chi! Moreover, the friction between the sword ray and the air produced a sizzling sound. Insignificant skill. Lu Chuanji didn't seem to care about the sword radiance that Ning Yu had unleashed. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile as he casually waved his hand at the five-horned demonic beast, indicating that it should go up and block the attack. As for himself, he turned to look at the other side of the battlefield. The body is in the Chao camp, the heart is in the Han camp. Although Lu Chuanji was currently fighting against Ningyu, his attention was on another battlefield. Without ideals, what was the point of living? Lu Chuanji was sure that the outcome of the battle would be decided soon. His plan was to wait for the outcome of the battle over there to be decided, and then strike with lightning speed to capture everyone in one fell swoop. As long as he could capture the human devil, the blue-clothed martial artist, and the others, then use special methods to control them, then he would become an existence that could cover the sky with one hand in Pill Emperor City. Of course, this was Lu Chuanji's wishful thinking. Let's not talk about whether or not he could control the human devil and the others. Even if he could control them, he still wouldn't be able to dominate the Pill Emperor City. Because the Pill Emperor City had become a transit point for the immortal spirit realm, devil spirit realm, and higher planes of existence. There were more and more powerful martial artists, and it was gradually out of everyone's control. It could be said that even if a sage at the Sage Consummate realm descended upon the Pill Emperor City, he wouldn't be able to become a supreme existence. You think I'm too weak? When Ningyu saw that Lu Chuanji wasn't going to make a move himself, and was instead asking the five-horned demonic beast to make a move, Ningyu was immediately infuriated. The five-horned demonic beast was powerful, but that was in the past. The current five-horned demon beast's strength was at most comparable to a mid-stage sage. Had Lu Chuanji lost his mind? Did he think that a warrior at the middle stage of the sage realm could kill him? Taking a deep breath, Ningyu decided to teach Lu Chuanji a lesson. He had originally wanted to kill the five-horned demonic beast, but now he had changed his strategy. He would first let go of the five-horned demonic beast and directly confront Lu Chuanji. As the saying goes, strike while you're down. Ningyu knew very well that Lu Chuanji didn't take him seriously. On one hand, he wanted to observe the battlefield on the other side. On the other hand, he wanted to rest. Ningyu did not want to wait for Lu Chuanji to recover before using his full strength. He first forced the five-horned beast to back off with a slash, then executed the monarch art, the netherworld reincarnation palm, the supreme nine pure one sword art, and all his martial skills and art. The earth-shattering yuan qi fluctuations all pressed towards Lu Chuanji. Even the demonic human tribe and the others, who were fighting in the distance, could not help but look over. This kid is so strong? The human demon's mouth opened slightly in surprise. Logically speaking, the human demon should not have been so surprised if he knew how abnormal Ningyu was. However, the battle strength that Ningyu had displayed had far surpassed the middle-stage sage, and he could even contend with a peak late-stage sage martial artist. How could the human demon not be surprised that Ningyu's strength had increased to such a level in such a short time? Damn it! Some were happy while others were sad. The martial artist in blue was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He hated the people in the organization. If it were not for their infighting, he would have caught Ningyu and trained him in the trial field. Now that the Wu Heng cave had been destroyed and Ningyu had escaped, he would definitely be blamed. However, the martial artist in blue was not a sentimental person. He was only a little angry, and then he focused on the battlefield. The martial artist in blue knew better than anyone else. He and the martial artist in white might not have the upper hand against Meng Chang'an, Zhao Heng, and the human demon. In fact, if they continued fighting like this, they might even be defeated. Therefore, while fighting, the blue-clothed cultivator's eyes turned and he began to think of a countermeasure. Damn it! Everyone was shocked, including Lu Chuanji. In comparison, Lu Chuanji, who was at the center of the whirlpool, was even more shocked. He had wanted to use the five horns to block Ningyu, but now Ningyu had failed to block it. Instead, he had fallen into a dangerous situation. The battle strength that Ningyu had displayed had made him take him seriously. I don't believe that a mere peak sky supreme can overturn the heavens. Lu Chuanji withdrew his attention from the other battlefield, and with a cold voice, he rushed towards Ningyu's attack. Only the brave would emerge victorious. At this point, Lu Chuanji knew that he couldn't retreat. As soon as he retreated, Ningyu would definitely step up even more. The only thing he could do now was fight with Ningyu to see who was stronger. Rumble! Lu Chuanji waved his hands again and again. He even used his trump card. In order to withstand the explosion and the attacks of the 4 horns and 5 horns back in the Wuheng cave, he had used all the trump cards he had brought down from the higher planes. Otherwise, he would only need to use his trump card to kill Ningyu. Without any trump cards, Lu Chuanji could only use his trump card. After all, he was the young master of Sacred God Palace. He knew a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Sacred God attack. With a growl, Lu Chuanji punched out. In an instant, a fist the size of a head pierced through the void and headed straight for Ningyu. The Sacred God attack that Lu Chuanji used was the Sacred Divine Palace's ultimate technique. Although Lu Chuanji couldn't use the full power of the Sacred God attack due to his strength, he could still use 10% of it. Crack, crack, crack. Wherever the fist light passed, the space was completely torn apart. What the hell is that? Ningyu's pupils constricted slightly as he looked at the fist lights that were constantly coming at him and dissipating all his attacks. His expression became extremely solemn. Black Dragon Sword / Although his expression was grave, Ningyu couldn't retreat at this time. He gripped the Black Dragon Sword tightly and injected his soul power and primordial chi into the Black Dragon Sword. Swoosh! The Black Dragon Sword drew a beautiful arc in the air and then slashed down heavily. Crack, crack! The Black Dragon Sword made a crisp cracking sound when it came into contact with the fist. My God, attack! As for Ningyu, his eyes were locked as his body was pushed back several feet by the huge force. Although he had blocked the attack with difficulty and dissipated the fist, there was a large wound between Ningyu's thumb and index finger. Blood flowed out. Crack! Ningyu didn't pay much attention to the crack between his thumb and forefinger. Chapter 1851. The breaking of the Black Dragon Sword caused Ningyu's expression to turn ashen. One had to know that he had taken the Black Dragon Sword from the demon spirit realms and family's war god, and Qianhao. In terms of grade, the Black Dragon Sword's grade was even higher than the Red Demon Sword. Ningyu had been using the Black Dragon Sword all this time. Now that the Black Dragon Sword was broken, Ningyu's battle prowess would drop by at least 10 to 20%. Damn it! While Ningyu was shocked, how could Lu Chuanji not be shocked? In fact, Lu Chuanji was even more shocked than Ningyu. He had used the Sacred God attack, a unique secret technique of the Sacred Divine Palace. Currently, the Sacred God attack was his trump card. Even he could not use it a second time in a short period of time. Now that Ningyu had only paid the price of a broken black flying sword, he had blocked his Sacred God attack. How could he not be shocked? However, while he was shocked, Lu Chuanji's mind gradually became active. He knew very well that if this continued, then the scales of victory might tip towards Ningyu in the end. This was because he had used up 50% of his energy reserves to use the Sacred God attack. In other words, his battle prowess had dropped by 50%. His battle prowess had dropped by 50%, while Ningyu had only lost a black flying sword. No matter how he looked at it, he was the one who had suffered a loss. No, I must capture Ningyu. Lu Chuanji's eyes revealed a vicious look. He knew the situation before him. On the other side, the blue-cloved and white-cloved cultivators might not be able to hold on for much longer. He could only capture Ningyu before the blue-cloved and white-cloved cultivators retreated. Only then could he successfully escape. Otherwise, when Zhao Hang and the others were free, the one captured would not be Ningyu, but him. 5 horns. Lu Chuanji gritted his teeth and said coldly, Go and stop Ning Yu. Swish. After all, Lu Chuanji still had a 5-horned demonic beast on his side. Although the 5-pointed demonic beast was losing more and more energy, it was still able to hold off Ning Yu for a short period of time. Since it was under Lu Chuanji's control, the 5-horned demonic beast's attitude in carrying out his orders was not the least bit ambiguous. Rumble. Almost in an instant, the 5-pointed demonic beast and Ning Yu started fighting. I have to use the second Saint God attack. Seeing the intense battle between the 5-horned demonic beast and Ning Yu, Lu Chuanji decided that no matter what, he had to unleash a second sacred God attack. Because in the current situation, if they wanted to capture Ning Yu, they had to use the Saint God's attack. Even if they had to suffer heavy injuries, they had to do it. Trying to ambush me? As Ning Yu battled the 5-horned demonic beast, he paid attention to Lu Chuanji's movements. At first, when Ning Yu fought with the 5-horned demonic beast, he would feel some pressure. But as time passed, Ning Yu realized that the 5-horned demonic beast's strength had already dropped to a critical point. At this critical point, he could kill the 5-horned demonic beast without any qualms. However, Ning Yu did not do so. Killing the 5-horned demonic beast now was not the best or wisest decision. Lu Chuanji was preparing to use the second sacred God attack, but Ning Yu's idea was to not alert Lu Chuanji first. Then, he would suddenly attack when Lu Chuanji reached a critical point. In that case, not only would Lu Chuanji's sacred God attack fail, but he would also be captured. After all, Lu Chuanji was the young master of the sacred divine palace, a high-level existential plane. If he captured him, he would have something to use against him when he entered a high-level existential plane in the future. At the very least, he would not be in a completely passive situation when he met the people from the sacred divine palace. Drip, drip. Time passed slowly. On the surface, the battle between Ning Yu and the 5-horned demonic beast had reached its climax. Either side could win. However, only Ning Yu himself knew the exact situation. He could defeat the 5-horned demonic beast at any time. Right now, more than half of Ning Yu's attention was on Lu Chuanji. As long as Lu Chuanji showed signs of activating the sacred God attack, he would immediately defeat the 5-horned demonic beast and then forcibly capture Lu Chuanji. Human effort was the key to success. There was still some difficulty, but he had to overcome it to obtain victory in the end. Sacred God, another few minutes passed. A fierce look appeared in Lu Chuanji's eyes. He waved his hands repeatedly and growled at the same time. However, Lu Chuanji's growl came to an abrupt halt. There was no other reason. Lu Chuanji had discovered something terrifying. In the blink of an eye, Ning Yu had defeated the 5-horned demonic beast and forced it back to its original form. If it was just Ning Yu defeating the 5-horned demonic beast, Lu Chuanji would not have been so nervous. More importantly, Ning Yu had already turned around and was heading straight for him. Lu Chuanji was panicking. This was the crucial moment for him to unleash the sacred God attack. Once it was interrupted, it would be extremely difficult to unleash it again. It was practically impossible. Lu Chuanji was unwilling. He was extremely unwilling. However, even though he was unwilling, Lu Chuanji knew that he had to retreat. Otherwise, only death awaited him. The mountains will not change, and the rivers will continue to flow. We will meet again. Before leaving, Lu Chuanji did not forget to say some harsh words to Ning Yu. Then, he tore open the void and tried to retreat. Sometimes, foolish people would always do foolish things. If Lu Chuanji had not said those harsh words and immediately retreated, he might have been able to escape. But when he said those harsh words, it delayed his retreat time. Although it was only a short second, it was enough. In less than a second, Ning Yu had arrived in front of Lu Chuanji. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched out. Crack! Lu Chuanji, who was caught off guard, instinctively crossed his arms in front of his chest in an attempt to block Ning Yu's attack. One was an active attack, while the other was an instinctive reaction. The answer was obvious. One of Lu Chuanji's arms was broken. His entire body was like a kite with a broken string as he retreated several meters. Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't put up any meaningless resistance. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what will happen. Seeing that Lu Chuanji had retreated, Ningyu hurriedly chased after him. He stomped his right foot on Lu Chuanji's chest and said coldly, "Open your mind and let me control you." Impossible! Lu Chuanji's pupils constricted. He gritted his teeth and said, "Kill me. I will never let you control me." Hee, you're still so stubborn even when you're about to die. The corners of Ningyu's lips curled up slightly. If you really wanted to die, you would have killed yourself long ago. Why do you still need me to do it? Since you don't want to die, quickly open your mind and let me control you. Otherwise, I will definitely let you have a taste of my power. The more one was unafraid of death, the more likely they were the most afraid of death. Generally speaking, those who did not speak were the most terrifying. The so-called impervious to everything was referring to that kind of person. Chapter 1852. Kill me or torture me, do as you wish. Lu Chuanji's eyes were cold as he said fiercely, "I'm telling you, I'm the young master of Sacred Divine Palace. If you kill me, you'll be in deep trouble." "May I ask, how many young masters are there in Sacred Divine Palace?" Ningyu asked with a smirk. Ningyu knew very well that some big forces had more than one young master. In fact, some big forces even had dozens of young masters. Breeding tactics. Let all the young masters compete together, and the last one to win would be qualified to inherit the position of sect master. If Lu Chuanji's position in Sacred Divine Palace was high, Ningyu would consider temporarily restraining him and throwing him into the Tower of Yuzuan. But if Lu Chuanji's position in Sacred Divine Palace was low, and he was only a young master ranked at the bottom, then Ningyu would definitely not spare his life. After all, a person with a low position was of no use to Ningyu and would only be a burden. Even if he killed him, Sacred Divine Palace would not go to war for him. No comment. Lu Chuanji replied coldly. He did not want to tell Ningyu his identity and status. Crack. Ningyu would not be polite with Lu Chuanji. He exerted a little force with his right foot and broke one of Lu Chuanji's ribs. "Are you going to tell me or not?" Ningyu asked again. "I don't know." Lu Chuanji gritted his teeth, not intending to tell the truth. "Very well." Ningyu took a deep breath, then grabbed Lu Chuanji and pressed his right hand against his head. The spirit transformation technique circulated rapidly, and a terrifying devouring power emerged from Ningyu's palm and entered Lu Chuanji's body. The terrifying devouring power kept devouring Lu Chuanji's mind. Almost instantly, 1/10 of the primordial qi in Lu Chuanji's mind was devoured. Although Ningyu's devouring speed was not as strong as Ninglu's, it was not weak either. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before the essence in Lu Chuanji's mind was completely devoured. After the essence in Lu Chuanji's mind was completely devoured, Lu Chuanji's sea of consciousness and his whole body were next. Lu Chuanji seemed determined not to tell Ningyu. As time passed, half of the essence qi in his body had been devoured by Ningyu, but he had no intention of compromising. "What a piece of trash. I thought that I would be able to advance to the semi-sage realm after devouring you. But now, it seems like I'm still lacking a bit." Since Lu Chuanji refused to compromise, Ningyu decided to devour him completely. However, Ningyu was still a little disappointed. After all, in Ningyu's opinion, Lu Chuanji, who was at the pinnacle of the sage realm, should be able to advance to the semi-sage realm. But according to the current situation, even if he devoured Lu Chuanji, he would only be able to maintain his cultivation at the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm, and he couldn't reach the quasi-saint realm. Actually, it was no wonder. In order to use the sacred god's attack, Lu Chuanji had already used up most of his essence qi. By devouring the remaining essence qi in Lu Chuanji's body, Ningyu could slightly increase his strength, which was already a blessing in disguise. That's Lu Chuanji, the young master of Sacred Divine Palace. His cultivation is at the pinnacle of the Sage Realm. How could he be killed by an ordinary warrior at the pinnacle of the Sky Supreme Realm? An ordinary warrior at the pinnacle of the Sky Supreme Realm? Don't think that Ningyu's cultivation is only at the pinnacle of the Sky Supreme Realm. His combat strength is enough to kill a warrior at the late stage of the Sage Realm. Now that he has devoured Lu Chuanji, he can even fight against a warrior at the pinnacle of the Sage Realm. A warrior who can fight against a warrior at the pinnacle of the Sage Realm? You're kidding, right? Seeing that Ningyu had captured Lu Chuanji in such a short time, the warriors hidden in the surroundings were all in disbelief. Among them, several warriors began to discuss in secret. Their views were all on Ningyu. Some said that Ningyu was an ordinary warrior, and that Lu Chuanji was incompetent. As the young master of Sacred Divine Palace, he was actually defeated by an ordinary warrior. Others said that Ningyu was not simple and could fight against a warrior at the pinnacle of the Sage Realm as a pinnacle of the Sky Supreme Realm. Are you kidding? Haha, if you want to stay and fish in troubled waters, I won't stop you. Anyway, I'm leaving. The few cultivators who thought that Ningyu was powerful laughed coldly. They turned around and flew towards the Alchemy Sovereign City. Let's go too. Let's quickly inform our leaders of the situation here. The remaining cultivators looked at each other before leaving with faces full of unwillingness. Just as the first few warriors had said, the last few warriors wanted to stay because they wanted to fish in troubled waters and fish for some benefit. But the current situation was already very unfavorable for everyone. If they stayed, they might be wiped out by Ningyu. If Ningyu really attacked them, the consequences would be unimaginable. In order to ensure their own safety and to send the news back to the Pill Emperor City in advance, they chose to retreat like the warriors before them. Phew! Feeling that the warriors hidden in the void had disappeared, Ningyu could not help but let out a long sigh. Although there were no pinnacle of the Sage Realm warriors in the void, with so many warriors staying here, Ningyu felt like there was a fishbone stuck in his throat. As the saying went, how could one allow others to sleep beside one's bed? Ningyu did not want to wait for them to win and others to take advantage of the situation. Wait! Just as Ningyu was letting his imagination run wild, a familiar voice suddenly rang in his ears. Hearing this, Ningyu's face lit up. Needless to say, the person who said this was none other than Lu Chuanji. Seeing that the vitality in his body was about to be consumed by Ningyu, Lu Chuanji finally could not stand it anymore. He hurriedly said, "Among all the young masters in the Sacred Divine Palace, I am ranked in the top 1,000. Hearing Lu Chuanji's words, Ningyu was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Originally, Ningyu's idea was very simple. As long as Lu Chuanji was ranked in the top 10 young masters of the Sacred Divine Palace, or even the top 20, he would consider sparing Lu Chuanji's life. However, Lu Chuanji was only ranked in the top 1,000 young masters of the Sacred Divine Palace. How could Ningyu spare him? Putting aside the fact that the Sacred Divine Palace did not have that many young masters, even if they did, it would not matter much to the Sacred Divine Palace if a young master ranked in the top 1,000 were killed. No one would pay attention to it. Don't be in a hurry to kill me. Although I am only ranked in the top 1,000 young masters of the Sacred Divine Palace, my grandfather is very powerful. My grandfather is an elder of the Sacred Divine Palace, and his status in the Sacred Divine Palace is very high." How could Lu Chuanji not know what Ningyu was thinking? In order to survive, he had no choice but to make himself more useful. I don't care what your grandfather's status in the Sacred Divine Palace is. In short, your status is not enough for me to spare you, but, at this point, Ningyu paused for a moment and then continued, "If you can call Di Xiao and He Jiming over, I can consider sparing your life and not killing you." Di Xiao, He Jiming? Chapter 1853. The two of them are far away from Dan Emperor City. Even if they come now, it will take at least a few days to get here. Lu Chuanji took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Since Ning Yu wanted to capture Di Xiao and He Jiming, it meant that he was safe for the time being. Only by surviving would they be able to plan for the long term and think about how to escape. Otherwise, it would be pointless. 3 hours. Ning Yu stretched out 3 fingers and said, "I don't care about anything else. Anyway, if I don't see Di Xiao and He Jiming in 3 hours, you will have no reason to live in this world." 3 hours is too short. They can't. Lu Chuanji shook his head and wanted to bargain. However, before Lu Chuanji could finish his sentence, he stopped abruptly. Because of Ning Yu's action, Lu Chuanji knew that nothing he said now would be of any use. He was left with only 2 choices. First, find a way to get Di Xiao and He Jiming here within 3 hours. Second, die. In the face of death, no matter how strong one's mental endurance was, he would still feel some fear. Lu Chuanji's concealment ability was very deep. Only now did his face reveal a look of fear. Moreover, the fear on his face was not particularly obvious. Time flew by quickly. On the other side of the battlefield, the warriors in blue and the warriors in white showed signs of retreating. In other words, the balance of victory was gradually tilting towards Meng Chang'an and the others. If this situation continued, the battle would be over in an hour at most. What should I do? On the other side of the battlefield, the sooner the victor was decided, the more irritated Lu Chuanji felt. One Ning Yu was enough to make him anxious. It was conceivable that if Meng Chang'an and the others joined in, it would be difficult for him to escape even if he had wings. Fight! Lu Chuanji was indeed the young master of Sacred God Palace. Although he was ranked around 1,000, he still had his pride. He gritted his teeth and immediately wrapped all the pneuma in his body around his ankles. Then, he suddenly exerted strength in his legs and his body shot straight into the distance like a spring. In order to escape from Ning Yu, Lu Chuanji did not hesitate to burn his soul power and pneuma to increase his speed. Xiao. Unfortunately, Ning Yu's attention was always on him. Although he was fast, he had expended too much yuan qi after using the sacred god's attack twice, so his speed was much lower than when he was at his peak. Ever since Ning Yu reached the pinnacle sky supreme realm, his speed had taken another qualitative leap. It was impossible to chase after Lu Chuanji when he was at his peak, but chasing after Lu Chuanji when he was injured was not too big of a problem. I gave you face, but you don't want it. Almost as soon as Lu Chuanji escaped, Ning Yu gave chase and caught up to Lu Chuanji in a very short time. This time, Ning Yu would not foolishly hold back. Raising his fist, he gathered all of his yuan qi and soul force into his wrist. Ning Yu turned his hand over and punched Lu Chuanji's heart, bringing along a violent yuan qi gale. Kacha! Bang! The crisp sound was accompanied by the muffled sound of a body hitting the ground. Ning Yu, you've offended the sacred divine palace. You're doomed. Lu Chuanji raised his head to look at Ning Yu, his eyes cold. He used all of his strength to say these words. But before Lu Chuanji could finish speaking, Ning Yu raised his right foot and stomped down heavily. Although Ning Yu's strength had not reached his peak, it was not difficult for him to make Lu Chuanji vomit blood. I'll spare your dog life for now. In fact, when Ning Yu's last kick had been about killing Lu Chuanji. But when his ankle was only a few centimeters away from Lu Chuanji, he instantly changed his mind. Killing Lu Chuanji would at most make him feel a little better. It would not be of any real help to him. But if he spared Lu Chuanji, he might have another chess piece in his hands when he went to a higher plane. There was a saying that went very well. Death could be spared, but punishment was inevitable. Although Ning Yu had spared Lu Chuanji's life, he had crippled his cultivation. This was because Ning Yu understood that he could only be at ease after completely crippling Lu Chuanji's cultivation. After all, Lu Chuanji was sent to the celestial spirit realm to carry out a mission, which meant that he had some ability. Ningyu did not want to be killed by Lu Chuanji out of the blue. Thus, crippling Lu Chuanji's cultivation was the best choice. After his cultivation was crippled, Lu Chuanji vomited a mouthful of blood. Then, his pupils constricted and he looked a little dispirited. Get in. Ningyu did not care whether Lu Chuanji was dispirited or not. He grabbed Lu Chuanji's shoulder and threw him into the tower of Yuzuan. As his enemies grew stronger, Ningyu no longer liked using his storage ring. Compared to the tower of Yuzuan, the level of a storage ring was still a little low. It was not a big problem to use a storage ring to trap a Sky Supreme. However, it was a little dangerous to use it to trap a Saint Realm cultivator. For safety's sake, Ningyu had made the right choice by throwing Lu Chuanji into the tower of Yuzuan. Retreat. Just as Ningyu restrained Lu Chuanji, there was a result on the other side of the battlefield. The blue-clothed cultivator and the white-clothed cultivator glanced at each other before moving in unison, entering the trash of the Wu Hing cave. The void split open, and the blue-robed martial artist and the white-robed martial artist entered, disappearing without a trace in an instant. Huff! Seeing the two cultivators disappear, Meng Chang'an and the rest heaved a sigh of relief. The worries in their hearts were finally put to rest. To be honest, even though the blue-clothed and white-clothed martial artists were at a disadvantage, Meng Chang'an and the others did not dare to be careless. After all, the blue-clothed and white-clothed martial artists at their peak were not people to be trifled with. If this wasn't the celestial spirit realm, Meng Chang'an and the rest would have been killed long ago. Everyone, rest here for a few minutes. We'll set off for the Pill Emperor City later. Meng Chang'an immediately sat down and waved his sleeves. Several elixirs flew towards Zhao Heng and the human demon. As a pinnacle 9th-grade alchemist, it was a good habit to bring elixirs with him. Although the elixirs that Meng Chang'an took out weren't heaven-defying, they could help them recover in a short period of time. After devouring Meng Chang'an's elixirs, Zhao Heng and the human demon were full of vigor. Ningyu, I never thought that we would meet in the Half-Cloud Mountains' everlasting cave. The human devil moved, arriving beside Ningyu in an instant. He sighed. I thought we would meet again in Pill Emperor City. Senior human demon, we have time to talk about these things. Do you think we should head to the Pill Emperor City first? Ningyu did not want to waste too much time here. He wanted to head to the Pill Emperor City as soon as possible and meet up with Ning Lu and the rest. Chapter 1854. Alchemy Emperor City. In a room above the city gate tower. Dong dong dong. Two martial artists sat opposite each other on chairs. In front of them was a round table, and on the table was a small piece of dead wood. One of the martial artists reached out with his right hand and tapped the table lightly. When Meng Chang'an returns, give him this small piece of the World Tree branch and see his reaction. Master Gong Yang, do you suspect that Meng Chang'an also has the World Tree branch? Hearing the first martial artist's words, the other martial artist frowned and said doubtfully, a few decades ago, an expert used a secret technique to calculate that none of the World Tree branch in the entire celestial spirit realm is valuable. Yang Zhan, use your brain. Gong Yang Qing pointed to his head and said, the celestial spirit realm is full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Moreover, the World Tree has the ability to block heaven's secret. If it was so easily calculated, it wouldn't be called the World Tree. Makes sense. Yang Zhan thought about it and felt that Gong Yang Qing's words made sense. Coming. At this moment, Gong Yang Qing suddenly stood up and said plainly, bring the World Tree branch. You must deliver it to Meng Chang'an. At this point, Gong Yang Qing paused for a moment before continuing. Also, tell Meng Chang'an that Sun Feng and Chang Tian are in my hands. If you want to save them, you'd better return that thing that you lost not long ago. Wang. The moment he finished speaking, Gong Yangqing's figure flashed and gradually melted into the void. As Gong Yangqing disappeared, Yang Zhan also hurriedly disappeared from the room. Wait. At the same time, when Yang Zhan disappeared, 4 people gradually appeared at the main gate of Alchemy Emperor City. Looking closely, these 4 were none other than Ningyu, Meng Chang'an, and the rest. Meng Chang'an raised his right hand slightly and said, "Someone's here." "Someone's here?" Zhao Hang and Ningyu were slightly stunned when they heard this, and then they exerted their perception. SSS. As soon as they released their senses, Ningyu and Zhao Hang gasped at the same time. What? At this moment, a crack appeared in the void and a martial artist appeared in their line of sight. The peak of the sage is infinitely close to the sage great perfection. Ningyu and Zhao Hang's expressions became a little ugly when they felt the aura of the warrior in front of them. Ningyu's strength could only kill warriors of the late stage of Sage Realm at most. If he encountered warriors of the peak of Sage Realm, he could only run away. He could not fight them. Although Zhao Hang was slightly stronger, he could only fight against martial artists at the peak of the Sage Realm. Once he encountered a martial artist whose strength was infinitely close to the great completion of a sage, he could only run away. Among Ningyu's group of 4, only Meng Chang'an and Human Demon could remain calm when facing this martial artist. "President Meng, how have you been?" The corners of Yang Zhan's mouth curled up as he looked playfully at Meng Chang'an and said, "Master Ram asked you to chase after that thief. I wonder if you succeeded?" No comment. Meng Chang'an's gaze turned cold as he said in a solemn voice, "Let me give you a piece of advice. It's best for you to move aside. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what will happen." Ah! As if he had heard the funniest joke in the world, Yang Zhan threw his head back and laughed maniacally. Soon after, he said coldly, "I think the one beside you is the thief. Since you've brought him back, leave the rest to me." As soon as he said that, Yang Zhan suddenly stomped on the ground and leaped up. Yang Zhan's target was not Ningyu, Zhao Hang, or Meng Chang'an. It was the Human Demon. Gong Yangqing's intention was to give the branch of the World Tree to Meng Chang'an and see his reaction. Then, he would use Sun Feng and Chang Tian to threaten Meng Chang'an to get back what he had lost not long ago. However, Yang Zhan changed his strategy. His sixth sense told him that there was something wrong with the warrior that Meng Chang'an brought back. Among the 4 warriors, he could detect the specific cultivation of Meng Chang'an and the other 2 young warriors. Only the last old man, he couldn't detect his exact cultivation. Yang Zhan could not help but be shocked by this situation. One had to know that Yang Zhan was a warrior that was infinitely close to becoming a complete stage saint. Looking at Yang Zhan, who was charging at him, the Human Demon frowned slightly. He turned to look at Ningyu and used his right hand to draw a line across his neck. The Human Demon's intention was simple. If Ningyu wanted him to kill Yang Zhan, he would kill him. If Ningyu did not let him, he would spare Yang Zhan's dog life. It would be best if you can capture him alive. Ningyu opened his mouth and transmitted his voice. Understood. The Human Demon nodded. Instead of retreating, he charged straight at Yang Zhan. Xiao. The moment the Human Demon charged out, Meng Chang'an did not stay idle. As the Human Demon and Yang Zhan fought, Meng Chang'an charged to the other side. Rumble. A great battle broke out in an instant. Pucci. The battle ended as quickly as it started. In just one move, Yang Zhan was sent flying, blood spurting out of his mouth. Bang. In the next moment, Yang Zhan fell from the sky and crashed heavily into the ground. How is this possible? Being defeated in one move, Yang Zhan was dumbfounded. Although his strength was not the strongest in Pill Emperor City, it was enough to be ranked in the top 5. Now that he was defeated in one move, didn't that mean that the person who defeated him could be ranked in the top 3 in the entire Pill Emperor City? Thinking of this, Yang Zhan immediately thought of retreating. After all, there was still someone glaring at him. No. Yang Zhan hurriedly looked at the void. Bang! Just as Yang Zhan's gaze shifted to the void, a cultivator fell from the void. Big brother! Seeing the familiar figure falling from the void, Yang Zhan's pupils constricted and his expression turned ugly. Yang Zhan, Yang Xiong, just the two of you dare to block us? Meng Chang'an landed beside the human demon and said indifferently, if you know what's good for you, scram. Otherwise, you should know the consequences. Until we meet again. Yang Zhan snorted coldly, then grabbed Yang Xiong and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Why did you let them go? Seeing Meng Chang'an let the two brothers go, Zhao Heng frowned, a little confused. Hit the snake where it hurts, do not hold back. Zhao Heng could not understand why Meng Chang'an let Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong go. Sun Feng, Chang Tian, as well as Ning Yu's friends are in their hands. How could Meng Chang'an not want to kill Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong? But Meng Chang'an was very helpless. Gong Yangqing transmitted his voice to him earlier, telling him that Sun Feng and the rest were in his hands. If he wanted to save Sun Feng and the rest, he had to let Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong go obediently. Meng Chang'an knew Gong Yangqing's character. If he did not let Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong go, then Sun Feng and the rest would definitely die. There was no other reason. Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong's status in Gong Yangqing's heart was very low, so low that he could abandon them at any time. But Sun Feng and the rest had a lot of weight in his and Ning Yu's hearts. They could not be abandoned. Then what do we do now? Go find Gong Yangqing? Chapter 1855. Let's go to the city lord's mansion first, and then we can discuss this further. Meng Chang'an didn't waste his breath. He pondered for a moment, and then his figure flashed towards the city governor's estate. Having just experienced a huge battle, Meng Chang'an was very clear that he would not be able to return to the Alchemy Union in a short period of time. At this moment, Gong Yangqing was in the Alchemy Union. If he were to return rashly, he might very well be schemed against by Gong Yangqing. Although Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong weren't their match, Gong Yangqing himself wasn't weak. Xiao! Zhao Heng, Ning Yu, and the others looked at each other when they saw Meng Chang'an flashing towards the city governor's estate. Then, they flashed out in unison and followed closely behind Meng Chang'an. Buzz! Not long after Meng Chang'an and the others left, the surrounding void trembled, and several martial artists instantly disappeared. Puff. Meanwhile, inside a certain room in the Alchemy Union, Gong Yangqing raised his right hand and slapped Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong twice. These two crisp sounds were accompanied by Gong Yangqing's furious roar. Trash! Two warriors at the peak of the Sage Realm, who are infinitely close to the Sage consummation, can't even handle a small matter. What use do I have for you? Gong Yangqing was furious. Ever since he had descended into the immortal spirit realm, it could be said that he had run into walls everywhere. First, Meng Chang'an feigned civility with him. Then, Song Wu failed to snatch the Qilin from Four Corner City. Now, he had asked Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong to handle a small matter, but they had actually messed it up. If he hadn't captured Sun Feng and the others in advance, Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong wouldn't have been able to return alive. The two of you spread the news that 3 days from now, I will be refining in the Pill Emperor Plaza in the Pill Emperor City. At that time, I will welcome any cultivators above the Heavenly Sovereign Realm, as well as alchemists with soul forces above the 8th grade to observe. Gong Yangqing waved his hand and said, in addition, inform Mo Min to come back early. Yes. Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong didn't dare to talk back to Gong Yangqing. They hurriedly nodded and slowly left the room. When they left the room, Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong heaved a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. The outside world might think that Mo Min was the strongest and was Gong Yangqing's right-hand man. But Yang Zhan and Yang Xiong knew. The truly valiant one was Gong Yangqing. Just the aura that Gong Yangqing emitted was something that the two of them could not withstand. We can't screw this up again. Yang Zhan thought about it and said to Yang Xiong, "Go spread the news. I'll go inform Mo Min and have him come back early." Sure. Yang Xiong did not waste any time. He directly tore open the void and tunneled in. As for Yang Zhan, he vanished into thin air. Although the Alchemy Emperor city was large, some news spread surprisingly fast. In less than an hour, nearly all the cultivators in the vast Pill Monarch city knew that Gong Yangqing would be refining medicinal pills at the Pill Monarch Plaza 3 days later. Who wouldn't want to see a 10th-grade alchemist refining pills in public? Hence, apart from the Pill Emperor city, even the alchemists from the surrounding cities started to move, wanting to rush to the Pill Emperor city on the same day that Gong Yangqing refined the medicinal pills. "Hey, have you heard? I heard that Great Master Ram will be accepting a disciple this time." Impossible, right? Great Master Ram is a 10th-grade alchemist. Who can be qualified to be his disciple? That goes without saying. Of course it's me. Get lost. You're just a 3rd-grade alchemist, while I'm a 4th-grade alchemist. If Great Master Ram is really accepting a disciple, it's definitely me. On the streets inside the restaurants, almost everyone was talking about this matter. And inside a secret room in the City Lord Manor, 5 martial artists were currently pacing back and forth inside. Ning Yu, Zhao Hang, Meng Chang'an, Human Demon. 4 of the martial artists were none other than precisely Ning Yu, Zhao Hang, and the rest. As for the last martial artist, it was very obvious that he was the Pill Emperor City's City Lord. An hour ago, Yang Zhan left the Pill Emperor City. The Pill Emperor City's City Lord was called Yi Jiansong. His cultivation was the same as Meng Chang'an, Peak Sage Realm. At this time, his expression appeared slightly solemn as he said, "According to my estimation, he should have gone to inform Mo Min." "Who's Mo Min?" Ning Yu revealed a doubtful expression as he asked. Mo Min is Ram Qing's right-hand man. He's very powerful. Even if President Meng and I join forces, we might not be his match. Yi Jiansong thought for a moment before saying, "It'll be very difficult to rescue your friends in 3 days. As long as his cultivation hasn't reached the Sage Realm great perfection, I have a way to deal with him." Human Demon appeared very confident. Among the 5 martial artists in the room, in terms of strength, Human Demon was the strongest. Even if Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong joined forces, they might not be his match. Yi Jiansong stared at Human Demon, then shook his head and said, "Your strength is about the same as Mo Min's." About the same? At this moment, Ning Yu's expression finally changed. Human Demon had already broken the energy seal in his body. His current strength was unprecedentedly strong. And that Mo Min could actually be evenly matched with Human Demon. This really shocked Ning Yu. "Can we sneak into the Pill Alchemist Union in advance? Capture Ram Qing alive?" Zhao Heng's expression was cold as he said in a low voice, "As long as we can capture Ram Qing, not only can we save your friends, we can even obtain the origin energy. Don't think too much." Yi Jiansong rolled his eyes at Zhao Heng and said huffily, "Although Mo Min is Gong Yangqing's right-hand man and his strength is formidable, in such a massive Pill Emperor city, Mo Min's strength might not even be able to rank in the top 3. Can't be in the top 3? Hearing this, Zhao Heng's heart skipped a beat. He could not help but look at Human Demon. However strong Human Demon was, Mo Min was as strong. If even Mo Min could not be in the top 3 in Pill Emperor City, didn't that mean that there were at least 3 martial artists stronger than Human Demon in Pill Emperor City? Human Demon easily defeated Yang Zhan. His strength was already strong enough. Martial artists stronger than him, how strong would they be? That's right, Mo Min can't be in the top 3. Yi Jiansong shook his head first, then said again, "Ram Qing's strength should be in the top 3. What? This time, Zhao Heng's mouth opened wide in shock. His face was full of disbelief. If the truth was really as Yi Jiansong said, then wanting to snatch the origin energy from Ram Qing's hands again would be even more difficult than ascending to the heavens. So, what we should consider now is how to deal with it 3 days later, and not sneak into the Pill Alchemist Union to find trouble with Ram Qing now. Yi Jiansong said. Why don't we unite all the experts in Pill Emperor City and let them deal with Ram Qing together? After a moment of silence, Ningyu opened his mouth and voiced out the idea in his heart. What do you mean? Hearing Ningyu's words, Zhao Hang and the rest revealed doubtful expressions and asked. Chapter 1856. It's very simple. Spread the news that Gong Yangqing possesses origin energy. Ningyu said straightforwardly, as if he didn't want to shock them to death. No, absolutely not. Just as Ningyu's voice faded, Zhao Hang's head rapidly shook as he said, the matter of Gong Yangqing possessing origin energy must not be known by too many people. I think this is a good idea. Meng Chang'an and Zhao Hang had different opinions. He was more in favor of Ningyu's method. Spread the news and let more people know that Gong Yangqing possessed origin energy. Gong Yangqing had sent out invitations earlier, causing most of the celestial spirit realm experts to descend upon Pill Emperor City. Spreading the news that he would publicly refine elixirs in 3 days' time, and that the medicinal catalyst was a Qilin, once again attracted a large number of experts. Now, if they spread the news that Gong Yangqing possessed origin energy, at least 90% of the experts in the entire celestial spirit realm would descend upon this place. Even the devil spirit realm, which was adjacent to the celestial spirit realm, might send experts over. After all, origin energy was something that everyone dreamed of. If anyone could obtain a strand of origin energy, their strength would increase by several times in a short period of time. I agree. I agree as well. Yi Jiansong and the human demon's opinion was similar to Meng Chang'an's. They all agreed to spread the news. There were a total of 5 people in the room, and 4 of them agreed to spread the news. Zhao Hang could only nod helplessly. It's not impossible to spread the news, but I hope that you can help me snatch the origin energy in the end. You don't have to say that. We don't want the origin energy to fall into his hands either. Yi Jiansong smiled slightly. Leave the matter of spreading the news to me. Rest well in the next 3 days, and strive to increase your strength by another level. Creak. As he spoke, Yi Jiansong pushed open the door and walked out. 10 minutes after Yi Jiansong left, Zhao Hang said, President Meng, is this Yi Jiansong, City Lord Yi, reliable? Don't worry, City Lord Yi is definitely trustworthy. Meng Chang'an waved his hand and said, in the next 3 days, we will do our best to increase our cultivation. Everyone will try to increase their strength by about 10%. After saying this, Meng Chang'an paused for a moment, then took out a few pills and threw them to Ningyu. Papa. Ningyu stretched out his right hand and hurriedly caught the pill that Meng Chang'an threw over. If you swallow these pills, you might be able to raise your cultivation to the early stage of the Sage Realm in the next 3 days. Seeing Ningyu receiving the pellet, Meng Chang'an said, Right now, you're a pinnacle heavenly sovereign, and your strength can confront late-phase Saint Realm cultivators. The moment you reach the initial phase Saint Realm, your strength will be comparable to pinnacle Saint Realm cultivators. This way, we can be more assured 3 days from now. 3 days later, it would definitely be a bitter battle. Meng Chang'an, Human Devil, Zhao Hang, and even Yi Jiansong were all very strong. In a one-on-one battle, any one of them would be able to contend against a peak sage. Only Ningyu was the weakest. Although Ningyu could confront a late-phase Saint Realm cultivator with his pinnacle heavenly sovereign cultivation, the people he would be facing in 3 days should be around the pinnacle Saint Realm. The battle would be cruel. Meng Chang'an couldn't guarantee that he could take care of Ningyu in 3 days, so he gave the most precious pellet to Ningyu, hoping that Ningyu could improve further. He didn't hope that Ningyu could kill a pinnacle Saint Realm cultivator, but he hoped that he wouldn't be easily killed when facing a Pinnacle Saint Realm cultivator. This room has the densest energy, and there's also a support array. Ningyu, you can cultivate in this room. The rest of us will go to another room. Next, Meng Chang'an and the rest gently pushed open the door and walked out. Seeing Meng Chang'an and the rest leave, Ningyu's expression gradually turned grave. Meng Chang'an and the rest were in the room just now, so Ningyu couldn't lose his temper and had to stay calm. Now that they left, Ningyu was a little angry. Ningyu didn't care too much about Yun Mu and the rest being captured. After all, the relationship between them wasn't very good. However, Ning Lu and the little Kylin being captured made Ningyu extremely angry. Although he was angry, Ningyu knew that he couldn't do anything now. With his current strength, he could at most fight or kill a late-phase Saint Realm cultivator. Against a Pinnacle Saint Realm cultivator, unless the other party's strength wasn't at its peak, he wouldn't have any chance of winning. If he wanted to play a role in the battle in 3 days, he had to increase his strength to the Sage Realm. Moreover, it wasn't enough to increase his strength to the Sage Realm. He still needed to cultivate the Supreme 9 Purities Sword Art, Netherworld Samsara Palm, and Emperor God Technique to another level. Food had to be eaten bite by bite, and the road had to be walked step by step. Ningyu took out the pellet that Meng Chang'an gave him and threw it into his mouth. Rumble! As soon as the pellet entered his mouth, Ningyu felt several terrifying energy waves burst out from the pellet and instantly swept through his body. So terrifying? Such a sudden change shocked Ningyu. He originally thought that the pellet that Meng Chang'an took out was at most 10th grade. Who would have thought that the quality of the pellet that Meng Chang'an took out was surprisingly high? Although Ningyu didn't know what the specific quality of the pellet was, Ningyu knew that it was at least over 10th grade. The Tao of pellet had a clear division above the 10th grade. The 10th grade pellet was also known as the Emperor rank pellet, so the 10th grade alchemist was known as the Alchemy Emperor. Above the Emperor rank pellet there were Sage rank pellet, Immortal rank pellet, and Divine rank pellet. Starting from the Emperor rank, it could be further divided into 10 grades, which corresponded to the level of the alchemist. Gong Yangqing's alchemist rank should be around the 3rd grade Emperor rank. The owner of the storage ring in Ningyu's hand, the Alchemy Emperor, should be between the 5th grade and 8th grade Emperor rank. Spirit Transformation Technique. Ningyu hurriedly used the Spirit Transformation Technique and began to refine the vigorous energy in his body. The strength of Ningyu's soul power was currently at the level of Qi to liquid, and it wasn't too far away from liquid to pill. With this strength of soul power, Ningyu could completely multitask. In other words, Ningyu cultivated the Spirit Transformation Technique and strived to cultivate it to the 9th level, or even the 10th level. While devouring and refining the energy, he constantly broke through the barrier of the Sage Realm. Generally speaking, if one wanted to break through to the Sage Realm from the Immortal Spirit Realm, they had to break through the barrier of the Sage Realm. Originally, it was very difficult for Ningyu to break through the barrier of the Sage Realm by himself. This was because the barrier of the Sage Realm and the Plane Barrier had some connection. Any cultivator who wanted to break through to the Sage Realm would need another Sage-level cultivator to protect them. However, the few pellets that Meng Chang'an gave were more special. In addition, the room that Ningyu stayed in had an ancient formation around it, so when Ningyu broke through the barrier of the Sage Realm, he didn't need another sage to protect him. Chapter 1857. While Ningyu was breaking through to the Sage Realm, in a certain sealed room in the Alchemy Union, the little Qilin, Ning Lu, Ziyun and the rest were all trapped within. If one were to take a closer look, they would see that all of their cultivations had returned to 0. At this moment, even a true martial stage practitioner could easily defeat them. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have come to Pill Emperor City. Yun Mu's expression was ugly. After devouring the immortal crystals obtained from Four Corner City, Her cultivation had been restored to the sage realm. Originally, she was still thinking of finding an opportunity to recover to her peak state in the Alchemy Emperor City. Now, it seemed that not dying was already a blessing. If you stay at the Wu Hing Cave, you might die even more miserably. Ning Lu rolled his eyes and said, "You'd better save some strength. When Ning Yu and the others come to save us, I don't want to be a burden." In fact, Ning Lu had long disliked Yun Mu. Along the way, she was the one who screamed the loudest. He didn't have much strength, but he had quite a temper. Ning Lu had never been kind to such people. "You!" Hearing Ning Lu's slightly mocking words, Yun Mu's face turned green and he said angrily, "The people who captured us this time are not simple. Their abilities should be between the peak of Saint Realm and Saint Perfection. Do you think Ning Yu has the ability to save us?" Ning Lu didn't want to talk to Yun Mu. A person like Yun Mu had a problem with his brain. "Shut up, all of you." Seeing Yun Mu getting angry, Tianji Lauren hurriedly said, "Last time when we were trapped in the Wu Hing Cave, in the end, it was all thanks to Ning Yu finding people to help us. This time, we are trapped in the Pill Emperor City. We should choose to believe in Ning Yu. Besides, aren't Sun Feng and Chang Tian also trapped here? President Meng is very powerful. He won't just watch Sun Feng and Chang Tian die for no reason." As he spoke, the Elder of Heavenly Secrets turned his gaze to Sun Feng and Chang Tian. Being stared at by the old prophet, Sun Feng and Chang Tian's expressions turned somewhat grave. If they were caught by someone else, they believed that Meng Chang'an would come to save them. However, if they were caught by Gong Yangqing, Meng Chang'an might choose to abandon the two of them. After all, Gong Yangqing was very powerful, and he had two powerful fighters by his side. Creak. At this moment, the closed door was slowly pushed open from the outside. Then, an old man appeared in front of everyone. Gong Yangqing. The old man who entered the secret chamber was a 10th grade apothecary, Gong Yangqing. After they entered the secret chamber, Gong Yangqing's gaze first swept across everyone before it landed on little Qilin. Wearing out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it effortlessly. The moment Gong Yangqing saw the little Qilin, he revealed an excited expression. He was preparing to refine a high-grade monarch rank medicinal pill. And the medicinal catalyst of that pill was a Qilin. "I have an important announcement to make now." After sorting out his thoughts, Gong Yangqing tried to calm himself down. In any case, he had already captured the Qilin and sealed its cultivation. In this kind of situation, there was almost no possibility of the little Qilin escaping. In other words, there was an 80% chance that there would be no problems during the alchemy at the Pill Emperor Square 3 days later. But what Gong Yangqing wanted was not that there would be no problems during the alchemy, but to think of a way to capture Meng Chang'an, Ning Yu, and the rest during the process of alchemy. Very clearly, wanting to capture Ning Yu was easy. After all, Ning Yu was only a peak-level Sky Supreme cultivation. But wanting to capture Meng Chang'an, it would take a lot of effort. Gong Yangqing's purpose of coming here this time was to easily capture Meng Chang'an 3 days later. 3 days later, I will publicly refine pills at the Pill Emperor Square. At that time, all the experts in the Pill Emperor City will go over to observe. I will pick a few among you and accept them as in-name disciples. Gong Yangqing said in a clear voice. Swish. The moment Gong Yangqing's words fell, Old Man Tianji and the rest's expressions changed drastically. Nobody was a fool. Everyone was clear that on the surface, they were accepted as in-name disciples by Gong Yangqing. But in reality, that was not the case. Some of them were Ning Yu's friends, and some were Meng Chang'an's friends. If they were accepted as in-name disciples by Gong Yangqing 3 days later, what would happen? Old Man Tianji knew. The reason why Gong Yangqing did this, there was only one goal. That was to force Ning Yu and Meng Chang'an to appear. Gong Yangqing still had some worries in his heart. He was afraid that Ningyu and Meng Chang'an would not appear 3 days later, so he used this move to threaten them. Finishing this sentence, Gong Yangqing did not care about old man Tianji and the rest's reaction, and walked out of the secret chamber alone. Oh right. However, just as he came to the door of the secret chamber, Gong Yangqing slightly paused and said, "That elixir I refined, the medicinal catalyst is qilin." Rumble. If it was said that Gong Yangqing wanting to accept a few in-name disciples made old man Tianji and the rest shocked, then Gong Yangqing's words after that made everyone incomparably shocked. Swish. In an instant, everyone's gaze shifted towards the little qilin. The little qilin and Ning Yu's relationship was very good, not just an ordinary kind of good. Gong Yangqing wanted to use the little qilin as a medicinal catalyst, and Ning Yu would definitely come 3 days later. And under this kind of situation, Gong Yangqing accepting in-name disciples, no matter how they looked at it, was a little superfluous. Sun Feng, come out. Just as everyone was faintly shocked and puzzled, the secret chamber's door was pushed open again. A martial artist pointed at Sun Feng and said, "Master Gong Yangqing wants to talk to you." "Wants to talk to me?" Sun Feng pointed at his own nose, a little confused. His strength was not the strongest, and his relationship with Meng Chang'an was not particularly strong either. Even if Gong Yangqing wanted to find someone to talk to, it should not be him. "Hurry up, don't dawdle." Seeing that Sun Feng was a little dazed, the martial artist outside the door said impatiently, "Master Gong Yangqing said that if you don't want to go, it's fine. I'll send you back to your hometown right now." "I'll go." Sun Feng's heart trembled, hurriedly moving his feet and leaving the secret chamber. Sun Feng left quickly and returned quickly as well. 3 minutes later, he was sent back. It was just that after returning to the secret chamber, Sun Feng's expression was a little ugly, even his entire body was trembling a little. "Chang Tian, come out." The martial artist who called for Sun Feng just now came over again. He pointed at Chang Tian and said, "Master Gong Yangqing wants to talk to you." Chang Tian looked left and right, then gritted his teeth and left the secret chamber. What happened next was very regular. Empress Chang Tian, Yun Mu, Talisman Supremacy, Zhang Chang, Old Man Tianji, Ning Lu, and the rest were called out one after another. Everyone stayed outside for 3 minutes, and when everyone came back, their expressions were a little ugly. Close to half an hour passed, in the entire secret chamber, only the little qilin was not called out. Drip, drip, and as time passed, it was clear that no one would come and call for the little qilin anymore. What in the world is going on? The little qilin frowned slightly and asked. The martial artist that the little qilin asked was none other than Ning Lu. "We might be in trouble." Chapter 1858. What? Hearing Ning Lu's words, the little qilin nearly jumped up. Gong Yangqing left a trace of his soul in everyone's head and could control them to self-destruct at any time? If that's the case, then 3 days from now, Ning Yu will be doomed. Don't make a fuss out of nothing. I'm not too sure myself, because not everyone is the same as me. Ning Lu tried his best to lower his voice as he continued. Gong Yangqing first removed the seal in my body, allowing my strength to recover to its peak. Then, he wanted me to join him and betray Ning Yu 3 days from now. Although it had doubts in its heart, the little qilin did not speak and quietly listened. I did not agree to it, so Gong Yangqing left a trace of his soul in my body. Ning Lu continued, "As for the others, I'm not too sure. Because of their relationship with Ning Yu, there's a high possibility that they might betray him." Actually, Ning Lu already had a rough list in his heart. Ziyun, Old Prophet, Zhang Chang, and Haoping, and Gu Yan. They shouldn't betray Ning Yu. After all, Ziyun was still under his control, while Zhang Chang, and Haoping, and Gu Yan were under Ning Yu's control. Old Prophet knew the art of divination, so he shouldn't betray Ning Yu. As for Yun Mu, the Talisman Sovereign, Sun Feng, and Chang Tian, there's a high possibility of them betraying him. There was no other reason. Their relationship with Ning Yu wasn't too good, and Gong Yangqing would definitely promise them many benefits. Under the temptation of benefits, anyone could betray him. What do you intend to do? The little Qilin asked. That's simple. 3 days from now, I will personally deal with those who betrayed Ning Yu. An arc rose on the corner of Ning Lu's lips as he continued, but before that, I need your help. What help do you need? I'm like a clay bodhisattva crossing a river, and I can't even protect myself. I don't even know if I can live for 3 days, not to mention helping you. The little Qilin shook its head. Don't be modest. I need Kirin blood, a large amount of Kirin blood. Ning Lu said, as long as I have a large amount of Qilin blood, I will be able to break the soul force and seal that Gong Yangqing left in my body. Is that true? Little Qilin asked in surprise. Really? Why would I lie to you? Ning Lu patted his chest and promised. I can give you the Qilin blood. However, before I do that, I want to check the seal within your body, as well as the spiritual force that Gong Yangqing left in your body. Of course. Ning Lu nodded his head. He then completely opened up his mind and allowed the little Qilin to examine him. This matter concerned whether Ning Lu had betrayed them or not, so little Qilin wouldn't let its guard down for no reason. In order to find out who Ning Lu was, he didn't hesitate to force a drop of his own blood essence into Ning Lu's body. Chi-chi. As the essence blood entered his body, Ning Lu's body instantly emitted a sizzling sound. The seal is still there, and so is the soul power. Little Qilin slapped its palm on Ning Lu's back, slapping out that drop of blood essence from earlier. Little Qilin did not wish to probe Ning Lu's secret. Its mission was to probe whether Ning Lu was around or not, and not to probe Ning Lu's secret. In that short instant, little Qilin did not detect that Ning Lu was the World Tree. To Ning Lu, as long as he did not expose the World Tree's essence, he would not encounter any especially big trouble. In the next 3 days, I'll give you as much Qilin blood as you need. After taking back the essence blood, little Qilin's expression was solemn as it said, I hope that you don't disappoint me 3 days later. I'll do my best. Ning Lu's expression also became solemn. Whether or not he could break the seal within his body was extremely important to the matter 3 days later. Actually, among all the people in the secret chamber, the ones closest to Ning Yu were probably him and little Qilin. If he could remove the seal within his and little Qilin's body within 3 days, then 3 days later, Ning Yu's passivity would be reduced by a lot. Ning Yu did not know what had happened in the secret chamber. However, even if Ning Yu knew, he could do nothing about it now. This was because he was in an absolute state of tension after swallowing the elixir that Meng Chang'an had given him. Break. Ning Yu's eyes were cold as he waved his hands repeatedly and shouted in a low voice at the same time. Bang! As the figure that Ning Yu had mentioned sounded, another muffled sound came from his sea of consciousness. Hearing the muffled sound from his sea of consciousness, Ning Yu revealed a look of surprise. I've finally broken through to the semi-sage realm. After several hours of swallowing and refining, Ning Yu finally made a step forward and his cultivation reached the semi-sage realm. After advancing to the half-step saint realm, Ning Yu could clearly feel that the vitality in his body had increased to a whole new level. Normally, Ning Yu would not be in a hurry to break through to the early stage of the sage realm. Instead, he would choose to stabilize his cultivation first. But now, Ning Yu had no other choice. He sat cross-legged again and began to practice the spiritual transformation method. As the elixir that Meng Chang'an had left behind had been almost consumed by Ning Yu began to swallow the immortal crystals. Even for a sage realm warrior, it was a bit extravagant to use immortal crystals to cultivate, let alone a semi-sage like Ning Yu. Buzz. A piece of immortal crystal was swallowed by Ning Yu almost in an instant. In fact, when he was breaking through to the semi-sage realm, Ning Yu had already cultivated the spiritual transformation method to the 9th level and was infinitely close to the 10th level. The 9th level of the spiritual transformation method increased the speed of swallowing immortal crystals by several times. In the past, Ning Yu might need a few minutes or even more than 10 minutes to finish swallowing a piece of immortal crystal. But now that Ning Yu had cultivated the spiritual transformation method to the 9th level, he only needed a few seconds to finish swallowing a piece of immortal crystal. Crack, crack, crack. In the following time, Ning Yu kept taking out immortal crystals and throwing them into his mouth to chew. In just 10 minutes, Ning Yu had already thrown dozens of immortal crystals into his stomach. If others knew about this situation, they would probably be scared speechless. Fortunately, I borrowed 100 immortal crystals from Meng Chang'an. Ning Yu secretly rejoiced. He did not expect that after cultivating the spiritual transformation method to the 9th level, his speed of swallowing immortal crystals would be so fast. If he had not borrowed 100 immortal crystals from Meng Chang'an, let alone 3 days, even if he was given 10 days, he would not be able to break through to the sage realm. Now that he had 100 immortal crystals and the 9th level of the spiritual transformation method, Ning Yu was very confident that he could raise his cultivation to the early stage sage realm within 3 days. Tick, tick. Time passed, minute by minute. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. When the 3rd day arrived, a terrifying aura suddenly rose from the city lord's mansion. Boom! Chapter 1859. Pill Emperor City, Pill Emperor Restaurant. Because Gong Yangqing was going to publicly refine pills at the Alchemy Emperor Plaza tomorrow, the Alchemy Emperor Restaurant was currently packed with people. However, when that aura soared into the sky, the originally noisy Pill Sovereign Restaurant suddenly quietened down. However, this silence didn't last for long, and it was quickly broken by all sorts of shocked discussions. Is someone trying to break through to the peak of the Sage Realm? Saint Peak? You must have lost your mind. In my opinion, this aura is not something that can be emitted by an ordinary peak saint. If I am not wrong, it should be City Lord Yi Jiansong who is trying to break through to the saint full circle. Voila! As soon as this cultivator finished speaking, the entire Pill Sovereign Restaurant was in an uproar. None of the cultivators that could come to the Pill Emperor Restaurant were weaklings. Even the weakest amongst them was a heavenly sovereign. These heavenly sovereigns naturally knew what it meant to be a perfected saint. However, due to the existence of the plane barrier, it was impossible for a sage in the celestial spirit realm to exist. Everyone understood this logic. Therefore, there was an uproar when the martial artist said that someone might be breaking through to the sage great perfection. I know Yi Jiansong. Although his cultivation is at the pinnacle of the saint realm, he is still a long way off from the full circle saint realm. At this time, a late-stage saint warrior shook his head and said, if someone is really trying to break through to the complete saint realm, it should be Meng Chang'an, President Meng. That's right. In the immortal spirit realm, Meng Chang'an is the strongest. He's the one with the highest chance of breaking through to the saint perfection realm. If Meng Chang'an is unable to break through to the sage great perfection, then no one will be able to. Why don't we go to the City Lord Mansion to take a look? Suddenly, an unknown martial artist suggested. Someone was trying to break through to the peak of the Saint Realm in the City Lord Mansion. Regardless of whether he succeeded or failed, it was a magnificent feat. Furthermore, with the descent of the martial practitioners from the higher planes, the native martial practitioners of the immortal spirit realm were constantly under pressure. The Devil Spirit Realm army was pressuring them from the outside, and the experts from the higher planes were causing trouble from within. Faced with internal and external troubles, all the immortal spirit realm experts hoped for a leader to emerge. Now, the terrifying aura coming from the City Lord's mansion clearly gave everyone hope. Let's go and take a look at the City Lord's mansion. The late-stage Saint Elder pondered for a moment and then said loudly, "It doesn't matter if it's Yi Jiansong or Meng Chang'an, as long as someone's strength has reached the great perfection of the saint realm or is infinitely close to it, we have to congratulate him." Voila! As the old man's words fell, the huge Pill Monarch restaurant was instantly emptied. The waiter in the restaurant looked at the empty lobby and rubbed his eyes, a little dumbfounded. If it weren't for the boss, they would have gone to the city lord's mansion to take a look. At the same time, Alchemy Union, in a certain secret room. This aura, Gong Yangqing sat on the chair with his eyes slightly narrowed. There was a grave expression on his face. Although Gong Yangqing was not afraid of this aura, a master who could emit such a powerful aura was definitely not weak. Seeing that he was going to publicly refine the medicinal pill tomorrow, Gong Yangqing was naturally very unhappy that something happened at this time. "Mo Min, how confident are you in killing him?" After thinking for a moment, Gong Yangqing asked a martial artist beside him. The cultivator beside Gong Yangqing was completely covered in black robes, revealing only 2 blue eyes. The old man stood where he was, as though he had fused with the void around him. If one did not look closely, one would not be able to tell that there was someone there. "It's hard to say," Mo Min said without hesitation. "If the other party is a pinnacle sage, I have 50% confidence in killing him. If he is a late-stage sage martial artist, I have 70% confidence in killing him." "You don't think that the other party is a pinnacle sage?" Gong Yangqing was slightly stunned when he heard Mo Min's words. In Gong Yangqing's opinion, the owner of the aura had to be at least a pinnacle sage. If it weren't for the existence of the plane barrier, Gong Yangqing would even think that the other party was a great perfection sage. However, Mo Min's opinion seemed to be a little different now. "I'm not very sure." Mo Min shook his head and said, "Because in the terrifying aura, I can feel a trace of an early-stage sage aura." Early-stage sage? Gong Yangqing was stunned as waves of shock surged in his heart. Gong Yangqing had always believed in Mo Min's words. Since Mo Min said that the other party might be an early-stage sage, it meant that there was a high possibility that the other party was an early-stage sage martial artist. It was just that Gong Yangqing could not figure out which early-stage sage genius could emit a pinnacle sage aura at early-stage sage. The possibility is very high. Mo Min nodded and continued, "Do you want me to test the other party first?" Test the other party's strength. Gong Yangqing fell into deep thought. Tomorrow was going to be the public pill refinement. It was more or less a little inappropriate to let Mo Min test the other party's strength at this time. However, on second thought, Gong Yangqing felt that he had to test the other party's strength. Otherwise, what if the other party caused trouble at the Pill Emperor Square tomorrow? Even if he could not test the other party's strength today, he had to know what the other party's cultivation was and where he came from. If the other party was Meng Chang'an or Yi Jiansong, he would not need to be so anxious at all. After all, he knew Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an better. Even if it was really the other party, he could deal with it calmly. What Gong Yangqing was worried about was other experts interfering. Mo Min, make a trip to the city lord's mansion. It doesn't matter if you can test the other party's strength or not. You must find out who the other party is and what his cultivation is. Gong Yangqing waved his hand and said, "Also, call Mo Ming back. I'm worried that something might happen tomorrow." Buzz. The instant Gong Yangqing's voice landed, Mo Min's body fused with the void and disappeared. Could it be him? Just when Mo Min left, a cultivator flashed in Gong Yangqing's mind. But very quickly, Gong Yangqing excluded the cultivator that flashed in his mind. Ningyu was only a heavenly supreme realm cultivator. His strength and talent were not particularly outstanding. All sorts of signs indicated that the owner of the terrifying aura could not be Ningyu. Let's wait for Mo Min to return first. I'll go and make some preparations in case I fail. Gong Yangqing took a deep breath and left the secret chamber. although Gong Yangqing was powerful and had many trump cards. But for the public pill refinement tomorrow, the pressure on him was similarly huge. There was no other reason. Practically all the immortal spirit realm experts were gathered in the Pill Emperor city. He was powerful, and there was practically no one that could be his opponent in a 1 versus 1. But what about 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, or even 1 versus 10? For safety's sake, Gong Yangqing decided to rearrange his plan. And the crux of the plan was the talisman Venerable and the rest. Chapter 1860. Are you sure that Ningyu wasn't possessed by some old monster? In the city lord's manor, outside Ningyu's chamber, Yi Jiansong, Meng Chang'an, Human Demon, Zhao Heng, and the rest all stood rooted to the ground, their eyes fixed on the door of the secret room. Especially Yi Jiansong, who had always treated Ningyu as an ordinary heavenly sovereign. But who could have expected that Ningyu would give him such a huge surprise? This surprise was too huge, to the point that Yi Jiansong was dumbfounded. How can he be possessed by an old monster? Meng Chang'an rolled his eyes and explained, Ningyu's talent in the martial Tao is powerful, and in addition to the pellets that I gave him, he managed to reach the initial phase Saint Realm from the pinnacle Heavenly Sovereign Realm. What's there to be surprised about? Yi Jiansong's jaw nearly dropped. There was nothing to be surprised about from the pinnacle Heavenly Sovereign Realm to the initial phase Saint Realm. But after reaching the initial phase Saint Realm, he could actually emit an aura that's close to the perfected Saint Realm. Ningyu's talent in the martial Tao has risen again. The Human Demon knitted his brows. I remember that when I first met Ningyu, his talent in the martial Tao was powerful, but it wasn't stunning. But now, his talent has made me look at him in a new light. Ningyu's talent in the martial Tao can be ranked in the top 10 in the demon spirit realm. I'm inferior to him. Zhao Heng took a deep breath and felt defeated for the first time. Before Ningyu reached the initial phase Saint Realm, he could still suppress Ningyu with his middle phase Saint Realm cultivation. Now that Ningyu had advanced to the early stage of the Sage Realm, he knew that Ningyu should be able to suppress him a little, even though there was still a gap between their cultivation levels. Senior Human Demon, what do you think of Ningyu's strength? Meng Chang'an looked at the Human Demon and asked. He should be on par with you and Yi Jiansong. The Human Demon looked at Yi Jiansong, then back at the Human Demon. On par. Zhao Heng's eyes widened in disbelief when he heard the Human Demon's words. Originally, Zhao Heng thought that Ningyu could only slightly suppress him after advancing to the early stage of the Sage Realm. If what the Human Demon said was true, that Ningyu could contend with Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong, then Ningyu wouldn't just be suppressing him a little. He could easily suppress him. Zhao Heng was a little dumbfounded when he thought about how Ningyu was able to go from being easily suppressed by him to easily suppressing him just by raising his level. I don't think so. Yi Jiansong frowned slightly and said, I admit that Ningyu's aura is terrifying, but he's only at the early stage of the Saint Realm after all, while I'm at the peak of the Saint Realm. Creak. At this moment, the tightly shut door of the secret room was slowly pushed open from the inside. Ningyu walked out of the secret chamber. The current Ningyu did not seem to have changed much. Even his cultivation base had been concealed. Are you at the early stage of the Saint Realm, or the peak of the Saint Realm? Yi Jiansong stared at Ningyu and asked doubtfully. It was no wonder that Yi Jiansong was doubtful. Generally speaking, as long as the opponent was weaker than him, he would be able to tell their cultivation base. Now that he couldn't tell Ningyu's cultivation base, could it be that Ningyu was stronger than him? Early stage of the Saint Realm. Ningyu smiled and changed the topic. Gong Yangqing will be concocting pills in public tomorrow. I hope that City Lord Yi will be able to help me then. Sure. But before that, I'd like to spar with you. Yi Jiansong nodded. You want to spar with me? Ningyu was a little puzzled. Yi Jiansong was a peak of the Saint Realm. It didn't make sense for him to spar with an early-stage Saint Realm martial artist. It's just a spar. 3 moves will do, Yi Jiansong said. Alright, 3 moves it is. Although he didn't know what Yi Jiansong was up to, Ningyu had a favor to ask of Yi Jiansong, so he couldn't refuse at this time. Please. Yi Jiansong stretched out his right hand and made a gesture of invitation. Then I'll do as you say. Ningyu stepped on the ground and his body sprang out in an instant. Since Yi Jiansong wanted to spar, Ningyu naturally wouldn't hold back. For the first move, Ningyu decided to use his full strength. Of course, Ningyu only used his full strength in Yuan Qi. As for the demonic lotus flame, heavenly fire cauldron, and other trump cards, Ningyu didn't use them. After all, he and Yi Jiansong were just sparring and not fighting to the death. There was no need to use all his trump cards. Senior Human Demon, can Ningyu really compete with Yi Jiansong? While Ningyu and Yi Jiansong were sparring, Meng Chang'an frowned slightly and asked. Although the Human Demon said that Ningyu's strength was on par with theirs, Meng Chang'an didn't believe it. After all, he and Yi Jiansong had been famous for many years. How could they be so easily surpassed by an early-stage Sage Realm cultivator? More or less, under the premise that both sides don't use their trump cards, they should be evenly matched. The corner of the Human Demon's mouth rose as he said. However, before the Human Demon could finish his words, his expression changed slightly. He sent a soul message to Meng Chang'an. Someone's coming. I'll be back soon. As soon as the word back fell, the Human Demon's figure flickered and directly entered the void. Not good. Seeing the Human Demon disappear, Mo Min, who was hovering in the void, had an unsightly expression. Actually, before Ningyu came out, Mo Min had already arrived above the City Lord Mansion and hid in the void. Mo Min's attention had already shifted from the cultivators in the secret room to the Human Demon. Not long ago, someone broke into the Alchemy Union and stole a treasure. At that time, Mo Min wasn't in Alchemy Emperor City. However, from the words of the thief, he roughly guessed the thief's build. Now that he saw the Human Demon, Mo Min's sixth sense told him that the Human Demon was that thief. However, Mo Min was very shocked, because he couldn't see through the Human Demon's strength. In other words, if they really fought to the death, he might not be the Human Demon's match. Thinking up to here, Mo Min decided to first watch the sparring between Ningyu and Yi Jiansong. After they finished, he would immediately return to the Alchemy Union to inform Gong Yangqing. Who would have thought that the Human Demon disappeared right after Ningyu and Yi Jiansong started sparring? No need to think, the Human Demon was definitely coming for him. Without much time to think, Mo Min stretched out his right hand and hurriedly punched out. Bang! Gotcha! Just as Mo Min's fist punched out, the Human Demon's fist appeared in the void. The two fists collided and a crisp sound rang out. Let's wait and see. Feeling the tearing pain coming from his right hand, Mo Min made a prompt decision and executed the blood shield art to escape. Even though it was just a hurried exchange, Mo Min already determined the Human Demon's true strength. Above him, on par with Gong Yangqing. Since I came, I got to leave something behind. The corners of the Human Demon's mouth curled up into a hint of an arc immediately. His right leg extended out abruptly. Gotcha! This leg of the Human Demon's was powerful and heavy, directly kicking onto Mo Min's chest. Several ribs in front of Mo Min's chest broke on the spot. Bang! Forcefully enduring the pain coming from all over his body, Mo Min waved both hands repeatedly. His body instantly vanished without a trace. Chapter 1861. The bead was red and only the size of a fist. What puzzled the Human Demon was that the bead gave off a terrifying aura. This aura even made his heart palpitate a little. Origin energy! While the Human Demon was still puzzled, Zhao Heng's figure flashed as he flew over. Hearing Zhao Heng's words, Ningyu and Yi Jiansong, who had yet to finish sparring, stopped at the same time. origin energy was the most precious thing in the immortal spirit realm. It could be said that almost all the cultivators who descended from the higher realms had the goal of obtaining origin energy. Now that Zhao Heng said that the bead contained origin energy, how could they not be shocked? Zhao Heng, are you sure that this bead contains origin energy? Meng Chang'an's expression was solemn as he stared at the bead in Zhao Heng's hand. Because there was a seal on the surface of the bead, Meng Chang'an's feeling was similar to the human demon's. He could only tell that the bead was terrifying, but not whether it contained origin energy or not. After staring at the bead for a few seconds, Zhao Heng nodded heavily and said, "There is indeed origin energy in the bead, but the amount of origin energy is very small, so small that it is negligible." Very small? Meng Chang'an and the others were puzzled by Zhao Heng's explanation. If the amount of origin energy in the bead was negligible, then why was there a terrifying aura inside? Could it be that this bead was the bead that Mo Min used to cultivate and contained terrifying energy? We must find Gong Yangqing. Zhao Heng handed the bead to Meng Chang'an. He clenched his fists tightly, a determined expression on his face. It was obvious. Zhao Heng really needed origin energy. As for what Zhao Heng wanted the origin energy for, no one was very clear. Since you know that there is origin energy in the bead, can you extract it? Meng Chang'an stared at the bead for a few minutes, then used his perception to break the seal on the bead's surface. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Meng Chang'an tried, he couldn't break the seal. I won't be able to extract the origin energy from the pearl by myself, Zhao Heng said sternly, but with you guys, I'll have an 80% chance of extracting origin energy. Then what are we waiting for? Let's take out the origin energy first. Yi Jiansong took a step forward and said in a clear voice. Origin energy was a good thing. Even though Zhao Heng said that the bead contained very little origin energy, Yi Jiansong still wanted to see it. Zhao Heng didn't answer Yi Jiansong's question. Instead, he turned his gaze to the human demon. Among them, the strongest was Human Devil, followed by Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong. Moreover, the bead was snatched by the human demon. As long as the human demon didn't agree, Zhao Heng wouldn't make a move. Take out the origin energy and let Ning Yu use it. The human demon thought for a while and said, Ning Yu is now at the peak of the early stage of the Saint Realm. Let's see if the power of the bead can help him reach the middle stage of the Saint Realm. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. Zhao Heng looked at Ning Yu and said, Ning Yu's martial arts talent is very high. Plus, he just reached the early stage of the Saint Realm and stabilized his cultivation. His aura is between the peak of the Saint Realm and the complete Saint Realm. Maybe the power of the bead can help him reach the middle stage of the Saint Realm. Cut the crap. Tell me what to do next. The human demon waved his hand and said, All of you, inject your yuan qi into the surface of the bead. Zhao Heng took a deep breath and said in a low voice, Leave the rest to me. Xiao. Since the human demon had spoken, Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an naturally wouldn't disobey him. They moved at the same time. The yuan qi in their bodies burst out and gathered on the surface of the bead. Whoosh! The human demon waved his hands. The yuan qi in his body was like a huge water column, completely covering Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong's yuan qi. He's so strong. Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an looked at each other when they felt the fluctuation of yuan qi from the human demon. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. Originally, the two of them thought that the human demon was only slightly stronger than them. When the human demon defeated Mo Min, they felt that the human demon was much stronger than them. But now they finally knew the human demon's true battle strength. Given the human demon's strength, the two of them wouldn't be able to last more than 3 moves in a one-on-one battle. Even if the two of them joined forces, they definitely wouldn't be able to pressure the human demon. The human demon's strength might already be comparable to Gong Yangqing's. Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong thought at the same time. After this thought appeared, it lingered in their minds and couldn't be erased. There was still one more day until the pill refining time that Gong Yangqing mentioned. In other words, tomorrow would be a fierce battle. Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong were still worried this morning. After all, they knew Gong Yangqing's battle strength. Moreover, there was also Mo Min and Mo Ming on Gong Yangqing's side. Mo Min and Mo Min, their names only differed by a single word, but their strength was not much different. Now that Meng Chang'an and the rest knew the human demon's powerful battle strength, that taut thread in their hearts finally eased a little. Break for me. Zhao Heng did not care about what Meng Chang'an and the rest were thinking in their hearts. He waved both hands repeatedly, then raised his right hand and ruthlessly chopped at the round bead. Zhao Heng's right hand seemed to have magical powers. Wherever it passed, Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, and even the Yuan Qi that the human demon released followed behind one after another. Zhao Heng gathered the Yuan Qi of the three forces at one point, then used all of his body's strength and blasted at the round bead. Crack! A crisp sound rang out. Under Zhao Heng's bombardment, a crack actually appeared on the round bead. Crack! 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 The crack was not obvious at first. But when Zhao Heng's right hand smashed down again, the crack on the round bead grew larger and larger, larger and larger. Finally, the round bead could not withstand the pressure and broke into two halves on the spot. Swoosh! Just as the bead broke, a cold light shot out from the bead, rushing into the distance at an extremely terrifying speed. Quickly stop it. This wisp of cold light is the origin energy. Seeing the cold light escape, Zhao Heng's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly roared. Swoosh! This was the moment that Ningyu was waiting for. When Zhao Heng asked everyone to attack together just now, Ningyu did not make a move. Instead, he stood on the spot, conserving his strength. Now that he saw the origin energy in the bead escape, Ningyu naturally chased after it with all his might. Swish! Swish! The difference in speed between Ningyu and the origin energy was not particularly large, but there was still a certain gap. Chapter 1862. Senior Human Devil, should we go and help Ningyu? Ningyu could determine that he could catch up to the source energy in over 10 seconds. Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, and the rest naturally could determine it too. Only after determining that Ningyu needed over 10 seconds did Meng Chang'an turn his head to look at the human devil, and said solemnly. Because 10 seconds did not seem especially long, this was the Pill Emperor City. There were many experts here. By the time Ningyu caught up to the source energy, most likely, everyone in the massive Pill Emperor City would know. Relax, I've already laid down an array formation around the City Lord Manor. That wisp of source energy can't escape. The human devil waved his hand, indicating for Meng Chang'an and the rest to calm down. The human devil's way of thinking was more advanced. He always had backup plans. Without laying down an array formation around the City Lord Manor, how could the human devil possibly watch Ningyu chase after the source energy alone? That's good. Hearing the human devil's explanation, Meng Chang'an nodded. The worry in his heart instantly disappeared. As long as he did not leave the City Lord Manor, it was impossible for anyone to disturb him. After all, Yi Jiansong still had some prestige in the Pill Emperor City. He, a peak Sage Realm martial artist, his strength should be able to rank around top 10 among everyone in the Pill Emperor City. City Lord Yi, congratulations, congratulations! But right at this time, a loud shout suddenly sounded out outside the City Lord Manor. Congratulations! This baffling congratulatory voice made Meng Chang'an and the rest scratching their heads in confusion. Why would they come to congratulate without rhyme or reason? Could it be thinking up to here? Yi Jiansong and the rest's faces changed drastically. Other matters still had to be taken care of, but if they knew that there was source energy here, then the consequences would be too ghastly to imagine. Originally, their plan was to spread the news of Gong Yangqing having source energy, making Gong Yangqing become a public target. But now, if the matter of their city lord manor having source energy was known by others, they would become the passive group of people. It couldn't be a trap set by Gong Yangqing, right? At this moment, Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, and the rest all said in unison. Mo Min's strength was much weaker than the human devil's. Furthermore, Mo Min had already used the blood shield technique to escape. There was no reason for a round bead to drop. Furthermore, the bead just so happened to contain origin energy. A coincidence. It could be a coincidence. However, when countless coincidences were combined together, it would no longer be a coincidence. We can't rule out this possibility, but don't think too much about it. The human demon said, the reason why Mo Min dropped the bead was because he wanted to use it, but someone stopped him at the critical moment. Then what do we do now? Meng Chang'an slightly released his perception and asked. Meng Chang'an's soul perception was very strong. With just a bit of probing, he discovered that there was a large number of martial artists gathered outside the City Lord Mansion. Although these martial artists were all natives of the celestial spirit realm, it was possible that they were impersonators from higher planes. Once Ning Yu has gained control of the origin energy and devoured it, we can open the main gate of the City Lord's mansion. Human Demon thought for a moment, then said, when the time comes, spread the news that Gong Yangqing has source energy. Xiao. With that, Human Demon couldn't wait any longer. His figure flashed, charging straight for Ning Yu. Human Demon's intention was very clear. He wanted to help Ning Yu control a small wisp of origin energy. Do you think City Lord Yi will come out? Of course he will. We're here to congratulate him, not to do some shady business. Although that's true, there are so many of us. We might scare City Lord Yi. Look at the guards outside the City Lord Mansion. Their legs are a little weak. Outside the City Lord Mansion, a large number of martial artists had gathered. The intention of these martial artists was very clear. They wanted to see if the martial artist with the terrifying aura was Yi Jiansong or Meng Chang'an. If they didn't see Meng Chang'an or Yi Jiansong today, they definitely wouldn't leave. City Lord Yi, we mean no harm. We just want to congratulate you. A sage-level martial artist said in a clear voice. I'm very fortunate to have so many people congratulating me. Yi Jiansong didn't open the main gate. Instead, he stood in the courtyard of the City Lord Mansion and said loudly, everyone, please calm down. I'll go and open the gate after I'm done with my business. It's fine, it's fine. City Lord Yi, go ahead. We can wait a little longer. Yeah, we can wait for a few minutes. I hope City Lord Yi can show us later. You're very strong. Now that you've improved even further, you're probably infinitely close to sage great perfection. After Yi Jiansong spoke, many martial artists began to discuss. Everyone's focus was on how strong Yi Jiansong was and whether or not he had advanced to sage great perfection. Some said that he had advanced to sage great perfection. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such a terrifying aura. Some said that it was impossible for him to advance to sage great perfection because of the existence of the plane barrier. There couldn't be a sage great perfection in the immortal spirit region. In short, all kinds of discussions could be heard. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away. It had been 20 seconds since Ning Yu and the human demon went to chase after the origin energy. In these 20 seconds, Yi Jiansong's expression changed from relaxed to serious. Is the origin energy so hard to control? Even senior human devil couldn't control it at the first moment. Yi Jiansong's expression became extremely serious. He even began to worry. There were so many people outside the City Lord Mansion. Although the strongest ones were only peak and late-stage sages, they had the advantage in numbers. He and Meng Chang'an alone couldn't control the situation. What if they announced that Gong Yangqing had the origin energy but couldn't produce any evidence? Wouldn't they be looked down upon? Whoosh whoosh. Just as Yi Jiansong was complaining, two figures, one in front and one behind, gradually appeared in Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an's line of sight. Ningyu, can this bit of origin energy help you advance to the middle stage of the Saint Realm? After landing, the human demon stared at Ningyu and asked. Shaking his head, Ningyu said, with just this bit of origin energy, my cultivation can only be maintained between the peak of the early Saint Realm and the middle stage of the Saint Realm. I'm only one step away from the middle stage. This is for you. Ningyu's words made the human demon take out an elixir without hesitation. The elixir was about the size of a fingernail and was blood-red in color. This elixir was refined by a 5th-grade Emperor-level alchemist. If you swallow it, you should be able to advance to Sage Middle Stage very quickly. Chapter 1863. Fuse with the Origin Energy. Hearing the human demon's words, Ningyu, Meng Chang'an, Zhao Hang, and the rest trembled. There was no need to explain how precious the origin energy was. Since ancient times, they had never heard of anyone fusing with the origin energy. One must know that the origin energy was the foundation of the celestial spirit realm, and it even contained some law of order. Not to mention Ningyu reaching the mid-saint realm. Even if Ningyu reached the pinnacle saint realm, he might not be able to fuse with the origin energy. Others might not be able to fuse with the origin energy, but you can. The human demon smiled at Ningyu. Everyone, guard the perimeter. You must protect Ningyu. Make sure that not even a mosquito can fly in. Swish. With that, the humanoid demon leaped into the air and merged with the void. As for Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, and the rest, they exchanged a look and retreated to the side helplessly. Truth be told, Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, and Zhao Hang didn't believe that Ningyu could fuse with the origin energy. But since the human demon had said so, there must be some logic behind it. They wanted to see if Ningyu could fuse with the origin energy. Fuse with the origin energy? As the person involved, Ningyu looked at the fingernail-sized blood-red pill in his hand with a solemn expression on his face. When the human demon mentioned fusing with the origin energy, Ningyu's shock only lasted for a short moment before it quickly disappeared. There was a high possibility that the origin energy contained the law of order. Coincidentally, the law of space was in his spatial ring. When he left Giant Shield City, Ningyu had found the law of space and placed it in his spatial ring. After a long period of cultivation, his law of space had reached the 8th-grade Earth Sovereign Realm. The law of space was also a type of order energy. Although his law of space was only at the 8th-grade Earth Sovereign Realm, he was still very powerful in his human form. Law of space. Do you have the confidence to fuse with the order power within the origin power? After taking a deep breath, Ningyu began to connect with the laws of space in his storage ring. There is definitely a chance, but it's not too high, the law of space replied. Don't give me these empty promises. I'm going to break through to the Sage Middle Stage, and your task is to integrate the power of order in the origin energy for me. Ningyu didn't give the law of space too much time to think. He raised his right hand slightly and threw the blood-red pill that the human demon had given him into his mouth. Ningyu was not stupid enough to directly devour the origin energy. What he needed to do was to first refine the blood-red pill and try his best to raise his cultivation level to the peak of the early Saint Realm. At the most crucial moment, he would be able to devour the origin energy. This way, he would be able to break through to the middle stage Sage Realm in one go. Buzz. As soon as the blood-red pill entered his stomach, Ningyu hurriedly activated the spirit transformation art. Ningyu had already cultivated the spirit transformation method to the 9th stage, and he was only one step away from the 10th stage. Under such circumstances, the speed at which he devoured the blood-red pill was naturally very fast. In just a few minutes, the blood-red pill was completely devoured by Ningyu. After devouring the blood-red pill, Ningyu's cultivation level also advanced from the early Sage Realm to the peak of the early Sage Realm. He was only half a step away from the intermediate sage realm. Law of space, pay attention to your movements. Ningyu took a deep breath before grabbing the origin energy with his right hand and forcibly sucked it into his body. Whoosh! Seeing Ningyu absorb the origin energy, the law of space didn't dare to be negligent. He hurriedly turned into a shadow and entered Ningyu's body at the same time. Boom! As soon as the origin energy entered Ningyu's body, a rumbling sound erupted, and it immediately split into two. I was right, it's the law of space. Ever since he absorbed the origin energy, Ningyu had been using the internal insight technique to explore the state of his body. When he saw that the origin energy was split into two, and one of them was the law of space that he was familiar with, he instantly became excited. As long as the law of space could devour the law of space that was transformed by the origin energy, he could easily devour the other pure energy. Law of space, it's up to you now. Although he was excited, Ningyu didn't lose his mind. The most important thing now was whether the law of space could succeed. If he succeeded, it would be fine. He could smoothly advance to the intermediate sage realm and completely stabilize his cultivation level. If he failed, the consequences would be unimaginable, because Ningyu didn't have the confidence to control the law of space that was transformed by the origin energy. Don't worry, leave it to me. The law of space was even more excited than Ningyu. Originally, when the law of space heard that Ningyu wanted him to deal with the origin energy, he was both excited and worried. He was excited that he could fuse with the law of space and smoothly improve his cultivation. He was worried that Ningyu had too much origin energy, and he couldn't succeed. Now that he saw that there was so little origin energy, the law of space instantly relaxed. If he couldn't even deal with such little law of space, then there was no need for Ningyu to say anything. He would buy a piece of tofu and kill himself. Don't be careless. Ningyu couldn't help but remind the law of space. It was good to be confident, but it was a bit unjustifiable to fail in such an easy task. Rumble. With Ningyu's reminder, the law of space gradually put away his arrogance and began to be cautious. I wonder if Ningyu can fuse with the origin energy. Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong didn't know what was happening in Ningyu's body. In other words, the fact that Ningyu had the law of space might only be known by the human demons. They didn't know that Ningyu had the law of space, so they were naturally worried about whether Ningyu could fuse with the origin energy. Because fusing with the origin energy, the most important thing was to fuse with the power of law. But ordinary martial artists didn't have particularly strong physical qualities. How could they withstand the corrosion of the power of law? Only some ancient deities could use their physical bodies to resist the power of law and fuse it into their bodies. Meng Chang'an and the others admitted that Ningyu's martial Dao talent was very strong, and his strength wasn't weak either. But strong talent and not weak strength didn't mean that he could fuse with the power of law. I think there's this possibility. Zhao Heng raised his head and looked at the human demon in the void. His expression was slightly solemn as he said, "The human demon comes from a higher plane. Even in a higher plane, he's an extremely powerful existence. He shouldn't be shooting without a goal. Do you think that if Ningyu advances to the middle stage of Sage Realm, his strength will crush us?" Suddenly, such a sentence popped out of Yi Jiansong's mouth. Although the sparring with Ningyu was interrupted midway, Yi Jiansong witnessed Ningyu's strength. In a spar, they should be evenly matched. Even if Yi Jiansong didn't use his full strength, Ningyu also didn't use his full strength. Chapter 1864. It's hard to say. I can't see through Ningyu. He seems to have a big secret. Meng Chang'an shook his head and said solemnly, "What we need to do now is to protect Ningyu as much as possible, and then have a good fight with Gong Yangqing at the Alchemy Emperor Square tomorrow." That's right. The stronger Ningyu is, the more advantageous it is for us. Zhao Heng added, Not only do we have to have a good fight with Gong Yangqing, but we also have to snatch the origin energy from him. You should know that a small amount of origin energy can allow Ningyu to advance from the early stage to the middle stage sage. If we snatch a large amount of origin energy, doesn't it mean that we can advance to the sage great perfection, or even surpass the sage realm? That makes sense, but we can't be careless, Meng Chang'an said. Who didn't know the benefits of the origin energy? As long as the origin energy was used properly, it could even deceive everyone and display the battle prowess of the sage great perfection in the celestial spirit state. Gong Yangqing would definitely take good care of such an important thing. Rumble. At this moment, a rumbling sound was heard again. Along with the rumbling sound, a terrifying aura was emitted. The aura was so strong that it was terrifying. Outside the city lord's mansion, many martial artists opened their eyes wide and were dumbfounded. If the terrifying aura not long ago was someone advancing to the sage great perfection, how could they explain this aura? Compared to the previous aura, this aura was more powerful and had a greater fluctuation. Could it be Yi Jiansong and this is Meng Chang'an? It's hard to say. Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an are both at the peak of the sage realm. It's very likely that they are advancing to the sage great perfection together. Let's stop guessing here. When Yi Jiansong opens the door, the truth will be revealed. You're right. Let's wait a little longer. Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong did not know about the discussions and exclamations outside the city lord's mansion. At this moment, they were just as shocked as the people outside. This aura, Yi Jiansong's mouth was slightly open, and his face was filled with shock. Ningyu has advanced to the sage intermediate stage. Meng Chang'an also lamented. According to my estimation, his strength is at least on par with mine. In some aspects, he might even be stronger than me. I didn't expect Ningyu to make successive breakthroughs in such a short time. Zhao Heng felt like he was in a dream. Back in the Wuheng cave, Zhao Heng clearly remembered that Ningyu was only a late-stage Sky Supreme. In just a short period of time, Ningyu had actually made a breakthrough from the late-phase Heavenly Sovereign Realm to the middle-phase Saint Realm. Moreover, Zhao Heng knew that with Ningyu's current strength, it wouldn't take much effort to defeat him. At this time, Zhao Heng's mind began to become active. Back when he had saved Ningyu, Ningyu had promised to help him snatch the origin energy. At that time, he was stronger than Ningyu, so naturally, there was nothing to worry about. But now, Ningyu's strength had far surpassed his, not to mention Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, and the human demon. Even if he obtained the origin energy, how much could he get? Forget it, I'll think about it when the time comes. No matter what, I have to obtain enough origin energy. Shaking his head, Zhao Heng tried his best to calm himself down. He hadn't obtained the origin energy yet, so it was unrealistic to think so much now. Although the human demon was strong, Gong Yangqing wasn't someone to be trifled with. Everything would have to wait until tomorrow to see the results of everything. Whoosh! Ningyu slowly opened his eyes and retracted his aura back into his body. Feeling the changes in his body, Ningyu's eyes revealed a look of joy. Middle phase Saint Realm. He didn't expect that after devouring and refining the origin energy and the blood-red elixir given by the human demon, his cultivation would really rise to the middle phase Saint Realm. Advancing to the middle phase Saint Realm wasn't what made Ningyu the happiest. What made Ningyu the happiest was that he had really integrated with the origin energy. To be precise, a portion of the law energy had been integrated with the law of space. Now, the law of space had successfully broken through to the Sky Supreme realm. Although it was only the middle phase Sky Supreme, the strength of the law of space had greatly increased. With the law of space sharing the majority of the law energy, the remaining law energy was smoothly integrated into Ningyu's body. Now, Ningyu didn't need to rely on the law of space, but he could also slightly mobilize the law energy. Moreover, after advancing to the middle phase Saint Realm, Ning Yu's soul energy had also risen. Previously, the strength of Ning Yu's soul energy was at the level of liquefaction. But now it had reached the level of liquefaction. It wasn't far from the peak of his previous life, breaking Dan Realm and Emperor Realm. Ning Yu could almost imagine that as long as he found a few powerful Dan puppets, he could easily increase the strength of his soul energy to the breaking Dan Realm and Emperor Realm. Ning Yu controlled a powerful soul Dan puppet. Without a doubt it was Gu Yan, who was controlled in Four Corner City. However, Gu Yan was currently controlled by Gong Yangqing, and Gu Yan had fought many battles for Ning Yu. Even if Ning Yu swallowed Gu Yan, Ning Yu couldn't bear to do it. Swoosh! Before Ning Yu could thank Meng Chang'an and the others for protecting him, a cold light shot out from the void. Not good! The sudden change made Meng Chang'an and the others change their expressions, and they wanted to stop it. Let me! However, before Meng Chang'an and the others could make a move, Ning Yu waved his hand, exerted a little force in his legs, and suddenly leaped up. The Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness gathered on his wrist, and Ning Yu threw a backhand punch at the cold light. Bang! The fist and the cold light collided, and a crisp sound was instantly heard. Chi-chi! Then, a fist suddenly shot out from behind Ning Yu. Ning Yu seemed to have expected all this. He hurriedly turned around and punched with his right fist again. Bang! The two fists collided. The fist behind Ning Yu stayed in place, while Ning Yu retreated several feet. He only stopped when his body hit the wall. Good, your strength has improved a lot. After 2 moves, the human demon appeared in the void. There was no doubt that the martial artist who was fighting with Ning Yu was none other than the human demon. When the human demon saw that Ning Yu had advanced to the middle stage sage, he naturally wanted to test his strength. The human demon's test this time had basically confirmed Ning Yu's combat strength. In terms of physical strength and the density of Yuan Qi, Ning Yu was slightly stronger than Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong. He was comparable to Mo Min. However, Meng Chang'an and Mo Min were old foxes, and they had a lot of trump cards. With the addition of trump cards, it was hard to tell who would win. Even so, the strength that Ning Yu displayed was enough to shock the human demon. Have you integrated the nomological force of the origin energy? Chapter 1865. Swish. When the words left the human demon's mouth, Meng Chang'an and the others all turned their gazes to Ning Yu. Astonishment filled their faces. Although they'd guessed that Ning Yu had merged with origin energy after he'd reached the midstage Saint Realm, it was still just a guess. However, a guess was just a guess. None of them dared to confirm it, and there were even some doubts in their hearts. Now that the human demon had personally asked, there was no way Ning Yu would lie. Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, and Zhao Heng stared at Ning Yu with their ears stretched out, afraid to miss Ning Yu's answer. Yes. Ning Yu nodded. I have indeed merged with origin energy. I should be able to use a strand of law now. What kind of power of law do you have? Ning Yu's words caused the human demon to reveal an expression of joy. Ning Yu frowned at the human demon's anxious expression. Although he didn't know why the human demon was so concerned, Ning Yu still answered honestly, it's still the law of space. Ning Yu knew very well that ever since the human demon had wanted him to merge with the origin source, the human demon had probably already found out that he possessed the space law. In other words, the human demon didn't need the law of space. Since he didn't need the law of space, he definitely needed another law. Alright. The human demon's eyes flashed with disappointment when he heard Ning Yu's words. Ning Yu saw the disappointment in the human demon's eyes. However, even if he knew the human demon would be disappointed, Ning Yu couldn't guarantee anything. After all, the power of law was something that could only be discovered by luck. It wasn't something that one could obtain just because they wanted to. Senior human demon, do you think we should open the gate and let those people in? At that moment, Yi Jiansong asked cautiously. I'll leave the rest to you. I'll return to the Pill Emperor's city tomorrow. The human demon waved his hand, indicating that there was no need to seek his opinion on this matter. Soon after, the human demon's feet stomped on the ground and he leaped into the air, disappearing into the void. Seeing the human demon leave, Yi Jiansong turned to Ningyu. If Yi Jiansong still felt that Ningyu was a junior in the past, then he had now treated Ningyu as an existence on the same level as him. It was so much so that he even respected Ningyu as his leader. After merging with the origin energy, Lin Yun's cultivation had jumped 3 levels from the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm to the middle phase saint realm. Yi Jiansong had never heard of such an ability. Beside him, Meng Chang'an and Zhao Heng weren't surprised by Yi Jiansong's attitude. Instead, they thought it was only natural. Although Ningyu's strength was not enough to contend against them, he had the support of the human demon, so they had to give him some face. But now, just Ningyu alone was enough to attract their attention. He's a guest from afar, there's no harm in meeting him. Ningyu pondered for a moment, then said, Tomorrow is the day that Gong Yangqing will publicly refine pills. At this critical juncture, it's always good to have another friend. Ningyu appeared very indifferent. This was how the world worked. The strong were respected. His strength was powerful, so Meng Chang'an and the rest's attitude towards him had some changes. That was a matter of course. If Meng Chang'an and the others still treated him the same way, then Ningyu would definitely suspect how they managed to cultivate to the peak of the sage stage. However, Ningyu did not put on airs. Whether it was Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong or Zhao Heng, they had all helped him. Ningyu was vicious and merciless to his enemies, and he even stopped at nothing to annihilate them. However, Ningyu's attitude towards his friends had always been good. Wait here, I'll be right back. Yi Jiansong bowed slightly, then moved towards the main gate of the city lord's residence. After Yi Jiansong left, apart from Ningyu, only Yi Jiansong and Zhao Heng were left in the courtyard. Ningyu did not speak, so Meng Chang'an and Zhao Heng naturally did not want to speak. For a moment, the courtyard became silent. Ningyu, about the matter about the origin source that we talked about before, however, this silence did not last long before it was broken by Zhao Heng. Zhao Heng rubbed his hands and said to Ningyu, I said that since I promised, I won't go back on my word. Ningyu opened his eyes and stared at Zhao Heng. But before that, I want to know what you want the origin source for. It's coming. Hearing Ningyu's words, Zhao Heng's heart trembled, thinking that what should come had come. Even if he really did not want to tell Ningyu, at this time, Zhao Heng had no other choice. He could only bite the bullet and send a voice transmission. I want the origin source to save someone. Save who? Ningyu frowned, looking like he wanted to get to the bottom of it. How could Ningyu not know what Zhao Heng was thinking in his heart? Since Zhao Heng communicated with him through voice transmission, it meant that Zhao Heng did not want to tell him about this matter. Ningyu was just a little curious. Something as precious as the origin source, anyone who obtained it would probably keep it for themselves. For Zhao Heng to say that he wanted to use the origin source to save someone, it meant that the person he wanted to save must have an extraordinary relationship with him. Save my sister. She's currently trapped in the everlasting cave on another plane. Zhao Heng gritted his teeth and said in a low voice. I see. Ningyu nodded his head, revealing a look of sudden realization. No wonder Zhao Heng would remind repeatedly to ask for the origin source. It turned out that it was to save his sister. Asking up to here, Ningyu abruptly stopped and did not continue asking. Zhao Heng's family matters, Ningyu did not wish to get involved too much. If he could obtain the origin source by a stroke of luck this time, Ningyu would definitely keep his promise and share a share with Zhao Heng. Ningyu did not speak. Zhao Heng and Meng Chang'an naturally would not go and say anything. For a moment, the courtyard became quiet again. Drip. Time trickled by minute. In a blink of an eye, 10 minutes had already passed. Why isn't he coming over yet? When the 11th minute arrived, Meng Chang'an's brows furrowed slightly, revealing an unhappy look. Tomorrow was going to be a big battle. They did not have time to wait here. With the great battle approaching, every extra second of cultivation time had the possibility of increasing their strength a little. As the saying went, sharpening a spear at the last moment might not be fast. City Lord Yi might be in trouble. At this moment, Ningyu opened his eyes and took a deep breath, saying, "Let's go out and take a look." Yi Jiansong is in trouble? What kind of trouble could he be in? Meng Chang'an and Zhao Heng were a little confused. Yi Jiansong was a peak sage martial artist. In terms of strength, he could be ranked in the top 5 in the Pill Emperor City. The martial practitioners outside were at most native immortal spirit realm martial practitioners. Meng Chang'an was very clear that although there were sage great perfection martial artists in the immortal spirit realm, they were all old monsters who usually did not show themselves. Putting aside whether those old monsters would come to the Pill Emperor City, even if they were tempted by Gong Yangqing's bargaining chip and came to the Pill Emperor City, they would not be in conflict with Yi Jiansong. Could it be that Ningyu had guessed wrongly? Chapter 1866. Let's go out and take a look. Ningyu didn't care about Meng Chang'an and Zhao Heng's suspicions. He stomped on the ground and moved towards the main gate of the city lord office. Seeing Ningyu leave, Meng Chang'an and Zhao Heng first looked at each other before their figures flashed and they followed Ningyu out of the courtyard. At the same time, at the main gate of the city lord office, Yi Jiansong glared at the old man in front of him and said coldly, "This is the Alchemy Emperor City, not a place where just anyone can behave atrociously." There's no need to be angry, City Lord Yi. The old man that Yi Jiansong was staring at was about 60 or 70 years old and had a head full of silver hair. The old man smiled and said, "I came all the way from the ice region to find someone. As long as City Lord Yi can help me find that person, I promise to give you unimaginable benefit." Yi Jiansong threw his head back and laughed, then said coldly, "You and I are both at the peak of the sage realm. You said you can give me benefits? I want to hear what you can give me. What right do you have to give me benefits?" "I don't have the right to give you benefits, but does the Divine Heaven sect have the right to?" The old man looked at Yi Jiansong with a smile that wasn't a smile. Rumble. When the old man finished speaking, Yi Jiansong was completely dumbfounded. Divine Heaven Sect, Ice Region Divine Heaven Sect. If this was before the great change in the Celestial Spirit Region, the Divine Heaven Sect would be nothing to him. But now that the Celestial Spirit Region had changed, countless top forces could contact powerful cultivators from the higher planes. The Divine Heaven Sect of the Ice Region was an outstanding sect in the Ice Region. Others might not know, but Yi Jiansong was very clear about it. The cultivators that the Divine Heaven Sect had sent from the higher planes were terrifyingly powerful. There were even a few alchemists that weren't any weaker than Gong Yangqing. Rumor had it that the Divine Heaven Sect had a strand of origin source. With the origin source in hand, it meant that in a life or death battle, one could explode with battle power that surpassed the peak of the sage realm. Yi Jiansong had to take this seriously. Although the old man's strength was only slightly stronger than his, what if the old man carried origin energy and suddenly used it in a fight? Would he not be able to bear the consequences? Suppressing the anger in his heart, Yi Jiansong said in a deep voice, "That's more like it." The corners of the old man's mouth rose as he said, "Lu Wei." "Lu Wei?" Yi Jiansong frowned slightly. He racked his brains, but could not think of a person like Lu Wei in the Pill Emperor City. After all, in his mind, anyone who could attract the attention of someone stronger than him was definitely not an ordinary person. She came from the mystic Moon continent, the Great Xia Kingdom. The elder added. From the Black Moon continent? Hearing this, Yi Jiansong fell into deep thought. Yi Jiansong vaguely felt that the mystic moon continent was rather familiar, as though he had heard of it somewhere before. I can't believe it. Suddenly, Yi Jiansong slapped his head and cursed. Isn't Ningyu from the mystic moon continent? Thinking of this, the way Yi Jiansong looked at the old man changed again. After all this time, this old man couldn't be here for Ningyu, right? As for the so-called Lu Wei, it was most likely a cover. Otherwise, who would come to the Pill Emperor City to find him, the city lord, in front of so many experts? The more he thought about it, the more Yi Jiansong felt that it was possible. After knowing the old man's true colors, Yi Jiansong's worries disappeared instantly. If the old man was here to find trouble with him, the human demon might not help. However, if the old man was here to find trouble with Ningyu, the human demon would definitely not stand idly by. City Lord Yi, as long as you can help me find Lu Wei, I will definitely reward you handsomely. Seeing the change in Yi Jiansong's expression, the old man instantly revealed a look of joy. Although the Divine Heaven sect was powerful, this was the Pill Emperor City, not the Divine Heaven sect's main camp. If not for the fact that the Exalted Immortal had specifically asked for Lu Wei, he probably wouldn't have asked Yi Jiansong for help. Yi Jiansong was able to become the city lord of the Pill Emperor City, and his cultivation had reached the peak of the Sage Realm. His connections and power were definitely huge. If Yi Jiansong was willing to help, it probably wouldn't take too much effort to find Lu Wei. City Lord Yi, since this old man wants you to find Lu Wei, why don't you help him? At this moment, an indifferent voice came from the city lord's residence. Hearing the familiar voice, Yi Jiansong revealed a look of relief. Since Ningyu had come out, it meant that this Lu Wei was definitely related to Ningyu. It was good that she was related to Ningyu. The following matters could be left to Ningyu to handle. There was only one thing he had to do, and that was to wait for Ningyu and the old man's negotiation to break down, and then make a forceful move. That was all. Who do you think you are? Master is talking to Yi Jiansong. How dare you interrupt? Before the old man could speak, a young martial artist next to him said coldly, If you know what's good for you, hurry up and kneel down and kowtow to Master. Otherwise, you won't be able to escape today. Late-stage Sage Realm? Ningyu frowned slightly and looked at the young martial artist who spoke. You're so young and your cultivation has already reached the late-stage Sage Realm. Given time, you'll definitely break through to the peak of the Sage Realm. It's a pity that you've offended me. As soon as the word "me" was said, Ningyu grabbed the air with his right hand and struck out. How dare you! The moment Ningyu made his move, the old man realized that something was wrong. Crack! However, the old man was still half a beat too late. Before he could reach the young man, the cold gleam that Ningyu struck out sent the young man flying. At the same time, several of his ribs were broken. Swoosh! At this moment, the scene was dead silent. The surrounding martial artists looked at Ningyu in shock. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. A late-stage Sage Realm martial artist was actually defeated by a casual strike from him? Moreover, the arrogant old man who scolded Yi Jiansong just now actually revealed a fearful expression? Tell me, who are you and why are you looking for Lu Wei? Ningyu waved his hand as if he had done something insignificant and said indifferently, If you can't give me a reason today, you don't have to leave. Humph. Shameless boasting. Next to the old man, another man in blue who was slightly older than the previous martial artist snorted. If you offend our sacred heaven gate, there will be no place for you in the world. Sacred heaven gate, huh? Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. For the first time, he had a murderous intent. Ningyu knew that the sacred heaven gate had sent people to look for Lu Wei in the past, and several martial artists had been killed by him. Recently, with the huge change in the celestial spirit realm, Ningyu thought that the sacred heaven gate wouldn't look for trouble with Lu Wei anymore. Who would have thought that someone would jump out? Ningyu looked around the old man and realized that other than the old man and the martial artist in blue, there were 3 other young men. The cultivation of these 3 young men was the same as the man whose ribs were broken by him. They were all late-stage sages. Chapter 1867. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and kowtow to apologize. Seeing that Ningyu was slightly stunned, the man in blue raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "Otherwise, no one in this world can save you." In the eyes of the man in blue, Ningyu was just an ordinary mid-stage sage genius. The reason why the Sacred Heaven Sect's late-stage sage realm warrior was defeated by him was entirely due to his carelessness. Thinking of this, the corner of the blue-clothed cultivator's mouth curled up, revealing a leisurely expression. Noisy! Ningyu didn't have time to talk nonsense with the man in blue. Tomorrow, he would be facing Gong Yangqing head-on. The most important thing now was to quickly recuperate and adjust his mental state to its peak. At this critical juncture, the people from the Sacred Heaven Sect actually came to ask for Lu Wei. This was truly intolerable. Xiao. As soon as the words left his mouth, Ningyu stomped his feet on the ground and shot forward. Voila! Seeing Ningyu make a move, the man in blue and the old man from the Sacred Heaven Sect did not move. Instead, the 3 late-stage saint martial artists beside them rushed out and blocked in front of them. The reason why the blue-clothed martial artist and the old man didn't make a move was that they felt that Ningyu wasn't particularly strong. At best, he could only contend with a martial artist at the peak of the late sage realm. Secondly, it was because they discovered that Meng Chang'an had already occupied Yi Jiansong's side. As for Zhao Hang, he was ignored by them. After all, Zhao Hang's cultivation was the same as Ningyu's. They were both at the saint intermediate stage. With their current strength, sage middle stage warriors could not pose a threat to them. Meng Chang'an was different. When they came to the Pill Emperor City, they had investigated the division of powers in the Pill Emperor City. Yi Jiansong was the city lord of the Alchemy Emperor City. His cultivation was at the peak of the sage realm. But Meng Chang'an was the chairman of the Alchemy Association. Not only was his cultivation at the peak of sage realm, but his soul force was also infinitely close to Tier 10 Alchemy Sovereign Realm. Relatively speaking, Meng Chang'an was the existence they feared the most. In the eyes of the old man and the blue-clothed man, their main targets were Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an. In fact, the two of them had already come to an agreement in secret. The blue-clothed martial artist dealt with Yi Jiansong, while the old man dealt with Meng Chang'an. Bang bang bang! However, just as the blue-clothed martial artist and the old man decided to deal with each other, the outcome of the battle on the other side was decided. Ningyu lifted his right leg and kicked out 3 times in a row. 3 crisp sounds rang out consecutively. Soon after, the 3 late Saint Realm cultivators were sent flying backward. Whoosh! The sudden change caused the surroundings to be deathly silent. He had defeated 3 late-stage Saint warriors with 1 move. This kind of combat power was already comparable to a peak saint. In fact, ordinary martial artists at the peak of the Saint realm would not even be able to do that. One had to know that the Sacred Heaven Sect's 3 late-stage Sage Realm martial artists had unfathomable strength. 2 of them had even reached the peak of the late-stage Sage Realm. They were only 1 step away from the peak of the Sage Realm. For Ningyu to be able to defeat the 3 of them in 1 move, there was naturally no need to elaborate on his strength. Gulp! So strong? Could it be that the 2 terrifying auras that rose from the City Lord's mansion not long ago were released by Ningyu? From the looks of it, it's very likely. No wonder Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an stood there fearlessly and had no intention of helping Ningyu at all. Alright, do you guys think that Gong Yangqing will have a conflict with Ningyu and the others? As the last warrior's voice fell, the surroundings were deathly silent. Although most of them had just arrived at the Pill Emperor City and did not know much about the specifics of the situation. However, they had a rough judgment of Gong Yangqing's strength. Gong Yangqing was not someone that these people from the Sacred Heaven sect could compare to. Ning Yu and the others dared to slap the Sacred Heaven sect's face on the spot, but they might not dare to slap Gong Yangqing's face. What? The man in blue turned a deaf ear to the crowd's discussion. At this moment, the man in blue's attention was completely focused on Ning Yu and the 3 late-stage Sage Realm martial artists on the ground. The warrior in blue was shocked. Although he could also defeat 3 late-stage Sage Realm martial artists in one move, he could not do it as easily as Ning Yu. Ning Yu could easily defeat 3 late-stage Sage Realm martial artists. Didn't that mean that his true combat strength was stronger than his? Who exactly are you? With a cold expression, the man in blue took a step forward and asked coldly. Hee, since you guys are looking for Lu Wei, don't tell me you don't even know who I am? Ning Yu smiled and shrugged. It seems that my influence is not big enough. He is Ning Yu. At this moment, someone said. Swoosh. Hearing this warrior's words, the man in blue frowned slightly, as if he was recalling something. I got it. Moments later, the blue-clothed man suddenly slapped his thigh and said, You are Ning Yu. Back then, the Sacred Heaven sect had sent people to the Great Xia Kingdom to search for Lu Xuan. Who would have thought that the people they sent would be killed one after another? Back then, I thought there was an expert protecting Lu Xuan. Now it seems that the person protecting her is you? So what if I am? So what if I am not? Ning Yu said indifferently. Ha ha. The man in blue first raised his head and laughed wildly. Then his expression changed and he said coldly, If you are not, I can leave your corpse intact today. If you are, then you won't be able to escape today. I won't be able to escape? Have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind? Ning Yu looked at the man in blue as if he was looking at a fool and said, I admit that you are stronger than those cats and dogs, but only this time. No matter how strong a cat or dog is, it will not be a match for its master. Puff, 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 puff. Ning Yu's words not only made the man in blue's expression turn ferocious, but also made the 4 late-stage sage martial artists that he had defeated so angry that they vomited blood and turned pale. It was already embarrassing enough that they were easily defeated by Ning Yu. Now, they were mocked by Ning Yu in front of so many people. Where could they put their faces? It was conceivable that once this matter was spread back to the Sacred Heaven sect, they would admit that they were the laughingstock of the entire Sacred Heaven sect. They might even be deprived of the right to enter a high-level plane. Thinking that they might not be able to enter a high-level plane, the 4 of them turned pale and wanted to kill Ning Yu immediately. However, they were very clear that with their current strength, they could not even get close to Ning Yu, let alone kill Ning Yu. Swish, swish, swish. The only thing they could do now was to beg the blue-clothed man to capture Ning Yu so that they could do whatever they wanted with him. Feeling the 4 anxious gazes on him, the man in blue's expression gradually turned serious. To be honest, the strength that Ning Yu had displayed had exceeded his understanding. In other words, he was not very confident that he could kill Ning Yu. You will definitely die today. However, being stared at by 4 anxious gazes, the man in blue gritted his teeth and decided to fight with Ning Yu. Anyway, he had a trump card and did not have to worry about being killed by Ning Yu. Chapter 1868. Swoosh. The man in blue was extremely decisive. He attacked as soon as he said he would, without the slightest hesitation. Almost instantly, he turned into an afterimage and arrived in front of Ning Yu. He clenched his right hand into a fist, and the vigorous primordial qi in his body gathered on his fist. He threw a punch at Ning Yu's heart. The man in blue did not hold back at all. He used a killing move right from the start. Young hero Ning dodge. That's right. Where there's life, there's hope. You're still young. In a few years, you might be a match for the man in blue. Seeing the blue-clothed man rushing towards Ning Yu and even using a killing move, the surrounding cultivators cried out in alarm. Although they did not know Ningyu, the potential that Ningyu displayed was enough to move them. If they reminded Ningyu now, they might be able to form a good relationship with Ningyu. There was no harm in forming a good relationship with a young mid-stage sage. As for the Sacred Heavens sect, no one paid much attention to them. After all, the Sacred Heavens sect's main camp was in the ice domain. They would not dare to make an enemy out of so many powerful warriors. Ningyu, it's not too late for you to kneel down and kowtow to me to admit your mistake. Although the man in blue was very fast and used a killing move right from the start, his cold words reached Ningyu's ears before he reached Ningyu. Before he arrived, his voice came first. If you want to fight, then fight. So noisy. Ningyu could not be bothered to talk nonsense with the man in blue. In his opinion, the biggest enemy was not the man in blue, but the elder beside him. To be precise, even the elder was not his biggest enemy. Although the elder was very strong, he was only slightly stronger than Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an. Ningyu was confident that he would not have much of a problem dealing with such a powerful warrior. The only thing that made Ningyu wary was an aura hidden in the void. If he didn't know that the human demon wasn't in the Pill Emperor city, Ningyu would have already started a massacre. How could he let the 4 Divine Heavens sect martial practitioners who provoked him go? There's no need to worry. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Suddenly, a voice rang in Ningyu's ears again. Hearing the voice, Ningyu was slightly startled at first, then his face lit up with joy. Since the human demon had put it this way, it wouldn't be right for him to have any more misgivings. You dare to be distracted while fighting me? Go to hell. Just as Ningyu was slightly stunned, the man in blue's fierce fist suddenly arrived in front of Ningyu. There were even traces of blue flames on the blue-clothed man's fist. An alchemist. The man in blue is also an alchemist. How do you know he's an alchemist? Isn't that simple? The flame in his hand should be in the top 20 on the mystical flames ranking. The top 20 on the mystical flames ranking. Seeing the blue flames on the man in blue's fist, everyone's expressions changed and they all revealed shocked expressions. The man in blue's cultivation was at the pinnacle of the sage realm. If he could control the top 20 flames on the mystical flames ranking, his true combat power would at least be comparable to Yi Jiansong's. Although Ningyu was strong, his cultivation was still slightly weak. If Ningyu's cultivation was at the late stage or pinnacle of the sage realm, even if the man in blue had the top 10 flames on the mystical flames ranking, he definitely wouldn't be a match for Ningyu, let alone the fact that he had the top 20 flames on the mystical flames ranking. Most importantly, Ningyu wasn't at the pinnacle of the sage realm, not even the late stage. Under such circumstances, would Ningyu be a match for the man in blue? Obviously, no one could guess the answer. Not bad, not bad. I actually saw the top 20 flames on the mystical flames ranking. Looks like I have to thank you properly. Ningyu didn't care about the terrifying energy on the man in blue's fist. His attention was completely focused on the blue flames on the man's fist. With a flick of his wrist, a flame appeared on Ningyu's fingertip. Without a doubt, the flame that appeared on Ningyu's fingertip was the demonic lotus flame. TSK. Seeing the dancing flame on Ningyu's fingertip, the blue flame on the man in blue's wrist seemed to have encountered something terrifying. It quickly stopped and entered the man in blue's body. No matter how the man in blue shouted, the blue flame wouldn't come out. Damn it, who can tell me what's going on? The man in blue turned pale with fright and scolded on the spot. Retreat. The man in blue couldn't see how terrifying the flame on Ningyu's fingertip was, but the elder from the Sacred Heavens sect could see it clearly. As the second strongest martial artist from the Sacred Heavens sect this time, the elder was also an elixir master. Furthermore, the elder's elixir master rank was comparable to Meng Chang'an's. In fact, the elder also had a flame that was ranked highly on the mystical flames ranking. Now that he saw the flame on Ningyu's fingertip, the elder instantly determined that it was the demonic lotus flame. The elder knew better than anyone else how terrifying the demonic lotus flame was, especially when Ningyu intentionally or unintentionally revealed the strength of his soul power. The elder instantly understood that if the battle continued, the man in blue would definitely die. Go. The man in blue's cultivation was the same as the elder, at the peak of the sage realm. However, he was very obedient to the elder and did almost everything the elder said without asking for the reason. For example, when the elder's voice fell, he had already changed from attacking to defending. At the same time, he raised his speed to the limit, wanting to escape behind the elder. Want to leave? Not so easy. The man in blue had just taken a few steps back when Ningyu's sinister words rang in his ears. Elder Ji, save me. Ningyu's ghostly voice made the man in blue's expression change as he cried out in panic. You're asking for it. There was no way the elder called Elder Ji would allow Ningyu to kill the man in blue. He stomped on the ground and instantly dashed out, wanting to block Ningyu's powerful attack for the man in blue. Swoosh! Swoosh! However, Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an would naturally not just stand by and watch Elder Ji make his move. In fact, other than Yi Jiansong and Meng Chang'an, even Zhao Hang went all out and fought with Elder Ji. Rumble! A huge battle broke out in an instant. Elder Ji was fighting 1 against 3, but he was only at a slight disadvantage. Ah! The battle between Elder Ji and Meng Chang'an was not the main focus. The main focus was the battle between Ningyu and the man in blue. A scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered was heard, and then the man in blue's entire body began to rapidly shrivel up. Look, the man in blue is covered in flames from Ningyu's fingertips. Powerful, controlling flames to kill people with a flick of his fingers. Could it be that Ningyu's alchemy level is higher than Meng Chang'an's? Meng Chang'an? In my opinion, I'm afraid that no one in the entire Alchemy Emperor City can do what Ningyu did except for Grandmaster Gong Yangqing. Gong Yangqing. Everyone was shocked. Chapter 1869. You. Although Old Ji was fighting fiercely with Meng Chang'an and the others, he was paying attention to Ningyu and the man in blue. Especially after seeing the man in blue being sucked dry by Ningyu, Old Ji was so angry that he stuttered. Old Ji knew that Ningyu was very strong. But in his opinion, no matter how strong Ningyu was, he was only a mid-stage sage. And the man in blue was one of the top few prodigies in the Sacred Heaven sect. Now that the prodigy was defeated by Ningyu in an instant, how could Old Ji not be shocked? You dare to be distracted while fighting us? That's not very good. Seeing Old Ji in a daze, Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong were overjoyed. In a normal fight, it would be difficult for the 3 of them to kill Old Ji. After all, Old Ji was very strong. Although they had the upper hand as time went by, having the upper hand and killing were 2 different things. Let's attack together and kill him. Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong immediately leaped up and charged at Old Ji again. Boom. Originally, the battle between Ningyu and the man in blue was the most crucial. Meng Chang'an and the others did not use their full strength to fight to the death. But now that Ningyu had killed the man in blue, Meng Chang'an and the others decided to fight to the death. They wanted to capture or kill Old Ji. This was because Ningyu had already sent a voice transmission to them through their souls, saying that he would immediately come to help after getting rid of the remaining 4 late-stage sage martial artists. It was a little difficult for the 3 of them to kill Old Ji. But if Ningyu, a powerful martial artist, was added to the mix, then Old Ji would not be able to escape. Die! Ningyu threw the man in blue to the side, then stepped on the ground and his body shot out. Chi. Wherever Ningyu passed, strong winds howled, forcing the surrounding people to close their eyes. Crack, 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 crack. In the short moment that everyone closed their eyes, Ningyu had already finished the battle. The necks of the 4 late-stage Saint martial artists who had provoked him were broken on the spot, and their hearts were pierced. In such a short period of time, Ningyu had killed the blue-clothed man and 4 late-stage sage warriors. The strength he displayed had already surpassed the understanding of most of the martial artists present. If it was said that they still had some doubts when they first arrived, then now, they could basically conclude that the cultivator who had caused the soaring aura was Ningyu. Ningyu should be able to contend with Gong Yangqing. There will be a good show tomorrow. It's hard to say. It's rumored that not only is Gong Yangqing's soul force powerful, his martial arts strength is also superb. Humph. So what if he was at the peak of perfection? This is the immortal spirit region. I don't believe he can unleash the battle prowess of a sage in the great perfection stage. As soon as this martial artist's voice fell, the surroundings became silent. That's right, this was the Elixir Emperor City, the celestial soul region. Affected by the plane barrier, even martial artists who had descended from a high-level plane could only suppress their cultivation to the peak of the sage realm. Gong Yangqing was powerful, but no matter how powerful he was, he could not display the battle strength of a sage in the exceptional realm. As long as Gong Yangqing could not display the battle strength of a sage in the exceptional realm, Ningyu might win. At the thought that Ningyu might become the number 1 person in the Elixir Emperor City, everyone felt a little restless. Don't forget that Gong Yangqing came from a high-level plane. He might have a trump card. At this moment, an old man in gray snorted. So what if he has a trump card? Ningyu still has Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong, 2 peak sage martial artists, someone refuted the old man in gray. Ah! The old man in gray was not angry. Instead, he threw his head back and laughed. He then said, "You might have forgotten something. Origin energy." Buzz buzz. After laughing wildly, the old man's body merged with the void and disappeared in an instant. Origin energy. Although the old man in gray had left, the martial artists who remained had different expressions. Some were excited, some were annoyed, and some were afraid. Most of them were local martial artists of the immortal spirit realm. There were not many who had reached the sage realm. If one's cultivation had not reached the sage realm, it would be difficult for them to know about origin energy. I know who the old man in gray is. He seems to be Wu Patian from the martial domain. Suddenly, someone seemed to have thought of something and exclaimed, "Wu Patian." Hearing this name, the surroundings fell silent. In the Sky Demon domain, the name Wu Patian might not be very famous. But in the martial domain, Wu Patian was a well-deserved overlord. In the vast martial domain, there were less than 3 martial artists who could go against Wu Patian. Wu Potion's status in the martial domain was much higher than Meng Chang'an's in the Sky Demon domain. And the force that Wu Patian had created, the martial god sect, was also one of the top forces in the world. It was even slightly stronger than the Sacred Heaven sect. Buzz buzz. At the same time, in the void not far from the city lord's mansion, the old man in gray, Wu Patian, stood with his hands behind his back and said calmly, "Brother War God, what do you think our chances are of getting the origin energy this time?" Opposite the old man was a young man who seemed to be in his 20s. He frowned slightly and said, "Origin energy isn't so easy to steal. Let's ignore Gong Yangqing's strength for now. Just his subordinates, Mo Min and Mo Ming, are enough to hold them off slightly." "Humph. Mo Min and Mo Ming are nothing. I'll kill them like dogs." Wu Patian snorted coldly, obviously not taking Mo Min and the others seriously. The Sacred Heaven sect of the Ice Domain and the Fire God Temple of the Fire Domain have both sent people here. The experts they sent are all from higher planes, and they are not weak, the young man called Brother War God continued. "War God Crane, don't boost the morale of others and belittle your own," Wu Patian said coldly. "With the 2 of us working together, do you think we'll be afraid of those nobodies? Even so, it's better to be safe than sorry. I don't want to fail miserably in the end. War God Crane shrugged and said, Don't think that I don't know that you came prepared this time. If there is really a change in the situation, you will definitely pull Ning Yu and the others to our side. Wu Potion's lips curled up and he said sinisterly, But I have to remind you in advance that although Ning Yu is strong, he is not as strong as we think. The real strong martial artist is the old man hiding in the void. If you don't have full confidence, I advise you not to have any ideas on Ning Yu and the others. Otherwise, it is very likely that you will push him to the opposite side of us, Wu Patian warned. Wu Patian knew War God Crane very well. War God Crane was a person who would do anything to achieve his goals. This time, he had something on Ning Yu. He had already planned to pull Ning Yu to his side when the time came. However, for some reason, Wu Patian felt that there would be a change in the situation. This was because he could only roughly estimate the fighting strength of the martial artist in the void. He could not determine the true strength of the other party. Chapter 1870. Since Wu Patian and War God Crane had used a powerful technique to seal the surroundings, ordinary martial artists could not hear their conversation at all. However, ordinary martial artists couldn't hear it, but that didn't mean others couldn't. There were two martial artists in the void and they heard it clearly. One of them was a human demon, and the other was an expert from the Sacred Heaven sect. The expert from the Sacred Heaven sect was called Li Weilong, and he came from a higher plane. However, even though he heard the conversation between Wu Patian and the War God Crane, Li Weilong didn't dare to make too much noise. There was no other reason. The human demon wasn't far from him, and his attention was on him. In the higher plane, Li Weilong had always been arrogant and looked down on everyone. In the celestial spirit realm, he was even more arrogant, and the Sacred Heaven sect martial artists couldn't breathe. In order to curry favor with Li Weilong, someone from the Sacred Heaven sect told Li Weilong about Lu Wei. Hearing that Lu Swan had the purple spirit body, Li Weilong was instantly excited. He immediately ordered Elder Ji from the Divine Heaven sect and a few other powerful warriors to come over. He was determined to snatch Lu Swan away and make him his human cauldron. Who would have thought that he would encounter such a mess as soon as he arrived at Alchemy Emperor City? Damn it! Li Weilong was so angry that he wanted to curse. Originally, he was overjoyed that Ning Yu could kill a peak sage with his mid-stage sage cultivation. He wanted to capture Ning Yu and study him. Who would have thought that just as he was about to make a move, a terrifying aura locked onto him. This aura made his heart palpitate. Since when was there such a powerful martial artist in the celestial spirit realm? Li Weilong's face was ashen as he thought about what to do next. After all, he came from a higher plane. If they really fought to the death, he might not lose. But this was Alchemy Emperor City. All kinds of experts, be it the celestial spirit realm or the demon spirit realm, were gathered here. If he fought to the death with the human demon here, others would definitely benefit in the end. As for the life and death of Elder Ji and the man in blue, he didn't care. Luckily, the human demon only locked his aura on him and didn't have any intention of making a move. In this case, he might be able to abandon Elder Ji and escape unscathed. Rumble. In the distance, Ning Yu had already finished resting and joined the army that was surrounding Elder Ji. Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, Zhao Hang, and Ning Yu attacked Old Ji from 4 different directions. Ning Yu is so powerful. If they had not fought alongside Ning Yu, they would not have known how strong Ning Yu was. Meng Chang'an was extremely shocked. The strength that Ning Yu had displayed had already made him the first among the 4 of them. In other words, Ning Yu was the main attacker, while Meng Chang'an and the other 2 were the supporting attackers. Actually, it was no wonder that Meng Chang'an was surprised. Old Ji's strength was comparable to Mo Min's. Neither he nor Yi Jiansong could defeat Mo Min. Under such circumstances, Ning Yu's strength had clearly surpassed theirs. Go all out. Ning Yu had no time to guess what Meng Chang'an was thinking. Unable to take down Old Man Ji for a long time, Ning Yu really felt the pressure mounting. The great battle that had happened here had already attracted the attention of various factions. It was really not knowing if one did not see, but the moment one saw, it gave him a fright. Originally, Ning Yu thought that Pil Emperor City did not have many experts, and Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong's strength was enough to rank in the top 5. But now, Ning Yu had a new judgment on the number of experts in Pil Emperor City. Just in terms of martial strength, Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong could not even rank in the top 10. Hence, the more Ning Yu fought, the more alarmed he became. The urgent matter was to kill Old Ji as soon as possible, and then retreat to the City Lord Manor to recuperate. Kill! Meng Chang'an also seemed to sense something. He waved both his hands repeatedly, bringing out his own life flame. As the president of the Alchemy Association, a peak grade 9 alchemist, Meng Chang'an naturally possessed a flame on the bizarre flame list. Holding the flame, Meng Chang'an charged at Old Ji with a roar. Yi Family Fist! Yi Jiansong's expression was solemn, all his essence energy gathered on his fist, and punched out with a backhand. This punch of Yi Jiansong's was simply earth-shattering, causing a huge impact. Eagle Claw Hand. Zhao Heng was unwilling to fall behind. He waved both his hands repeatedly in the air, and with every movement of his palms, his fingernails were growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, Zhao Heng. The three of them used their respective trump cards. In contrast, Ning Yu took a deep breath, and immediately compressed the essence energy in his body onto his fist. In order to kill Old Ji in one blow, Ning Yu not only used up all his essence energy, he even gathered his soul force and demonic lotus flames on his fist. Boom! 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 In midair, Meng Chang'an's attack was the first to make contact with Old Ji. Old Ji was indeed a powerful sacred heaven sect warrior. He opened his mouth wide, and took out a palm-sized folding fan. Swish! With a wave of the folding fan, a strong wind suddenly rose. Although the flames that Meng Chang'an cast completely burned the folding fan that Old Ji took out, Meng Chang'an himself was also sent flying. The first move ended with Meng Chang'an's defeat. Following that, Yi Jiansong's fist arrived as expected. Crack! Old Ji did not dodge. Instead, he raised his fist and met Yi Jiansong head-on. A crisp sound rang out, and Yi Jiansong's body flew back several feet before stopping on the spot. There was a long scar under Yi Jiansong's feet. Swoosh, swoosh. For the third move, Zhao Heng chased after him, and the eagle claw hand clawed left and right like a hurricane. Although Zhao Heng's attack was fierce, he did not cause much of an impact. Old Ji just casually waved his hand and he was sent flying. At the same time, he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Insignificant skill. Old Ji leaped and floated in midair. He said arrogantly, "If you don't hand over Lu Wei today, I will slaughter you. You're already at the end of your rope, and you still dare to hold on." Before Old Ji's voice faded, Ning Yu leaped and appeared in front of him in an instant. Ning Yu did not give Old Ji a chance. His fist broke through the void, and he stepped on the clouds as he ruthlessly attacked Old Ji. No! Looking at the fist that was approaching him, Old Ji's pupils constricted, and he hurriedly shouted, "Li Weilong, save, crack!" Old Ji's cry for help came to an abrupt end. Ning Yu's fist passed through his heart and appeared in his back. At this moment, Old Ji of the Sacred Heaven sect, a peak sage martial artist, died in battle. Swoosh! Seeing Old Ji killed by Ning Yu, the surroundings were so quiet that even breathing could be heard clearly. When Ning Yu killed the man in blue and the 4 late-stage sage martial artists, everyone was just a little surprised. But now that Ning Yu had killed Elder Ji, everyone's hearts were in turmoil. Although Meng Chang'an and the others helped, everyone could tell that the main attacker was not Meng Chang'an, Yi Jiansong, or that Zhao Heng. Chapter 1871. Whoosh. Seeing that Ningyu killed Elder Ji with a punch, Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong all heaved a sigh of relief, and their tense nerves finally relaxed. In order to clear the obstacles for Ningyu, the three of them used their full strength and trump cards. If Ningyu could not kill Elder Ji, the consequences would be unimaginable. Fortunately, Ningyu killed Elder Ji with lightning speed, causing the worries in their hearts to disappear instantly. City Lord Yi, please take care of this place, I'm going into seclusion. Ningyu waved his hand at Yi Jiansong, then his figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. Although he killed Elder Ji, Ningyu also suffered serious injuries. If he did not need to fight with Gong Yangqing tomorrow, Ningyu would naturally not be so anxious and would slowly recuperate. However, there might be a fierce battle tomorrow, so Ningyu did not dare to be careless. All signs showed that Elder Ji and Gong Yangqing were on two completely different levels. For an expert like Elder Ji, Gong Yangqing might only need to use 20% to 30% of his strength to kill him. In other words, with Ningyu's current combat strength, it would be difficult for him to even take one move from Gong Yangqing. Recuperate as much as possible. At this stage, Ningyu threw away all external factors and began to recuperate with all his might. Supreme Nine Purities Sword Art, Emperor God Technique, Netherworld Samsara Palm. These three saint-rank combat skills, Ningyu must cultivate to the 12th level before Gong Yangqing publicly refined pills. Perhaps in the past, Ningyu could not cultivate the three saint-rank combat skills to the 12th level so quickly, but after advancing to the middle stage sage, whether it was the strength of his soul force or the density of his yuan qi, Ningyu had a qualitative leap. Now that he cultivated three saint-rank combat skills, his speed should be very fast. Cough, cough. Ningyu's departure did not cause the many experts outside the city lord's mansion to leave. On the contrary, they were all standing outside the main entrance of the city lord's mansion, looking at Yi Jiansong fervently. Yi Jiansong coughed dryly twice before he said in a clear voice, I believe everyone has heard of origin energy. I've heard that source energy is one of the most precious things in the immortal spirit realm. One of them? I think you've lost your mind. Origin energy is the most precious thing in the celestial spirit realm. That's right. If anyone could obtain a small strand of origin energy and refine it, their cultivation would easily rise by a level. So powerful? What do you think? Stop talking nonsense and listen to City Lord Yi. Just as Yi Jiansong threw out the words origin energy, the surrounding cultivators began to discuss spiritedly. In the end, everyone stopped discussing after a late Saint Realm old man berated them. Yi Jiansong scanned the crowd and said again, I won't hide it from you all. The Alchemy Emperor City has source energy. Voila! If Yi Jiansong's words about origin energy had shocked everyone, then Yi Jiansong's words about origin energy in the Pill Emperor City had caused everyone to explode. Who didn't want to obtain origin energy? Even the weakest amongst the cultivators here was a heavenly sovereign. If they were lucky enough to obtain origin energy, wouldn't that mean that they could easily reach the Saint Realm? Thinking about it, everyone's gazes towards Yi Jiansong had changed and their faces were blazing. City Lord Yi, I wonder where the origin energy of the Pill Emperor City is? A cultivator asked in puzzlement. Russell. When that cultivator finished his words, everyone's gazes turned towards Yi Jiansong with anticipation on their faces. Origin energy can only be found by luck. I only found out that Gong Yangqing of the Pill Emperor City possesses origin energy by chance. Yi Jiansong slightly raised his voice so that everyone could hear him. Gong Yangqing is going to publicly refine pellets tomorrow, and I hope that everyone in the celestial spirit realm can come and watch the show. Yi Jiansong did not expect everyone to stand on his side. After all, everyone came from different places, and his strength had not reached a terrifying level yet, so he did not have the qualifications to order everyone around. However, revealing that Gong Yangqing possessed origin energy and letting everyone watch the show wasn't a bad thing. It would be fine if he won tomorrow, but if he lost, these people would become his last straw of hope. Because under the powerful temptation of origin energy, who could remain calm? Who didn't want to snatch it? Everyone, that's all for today. We'll meet again tomorrow. Yi Jiansong smiled at everyone, then entered the city lord's mansion without looking back. Whoosh! The moment Yi Jiansong entered the city lord's mansion, the crowd outside dispersed. Gong Yangqing possessing the power of source. This news was seriously too explosive. Most of the cultivators present were heavenly sovereigns. They had to rush back quickly and tell this news to the pinnacle experts in their sections. These people were very self-aware, and they knew that with their heavenly sovereign cultivation, not to mention snatching origin energy, it was unknown if they could even get close to the Pill Emperor Plaza tomorrow. Perhaps Gong Yangqing knew that the news was leaked, and he would raise the conditions to enter the Pill Emperor Plaza. For example, he was previously a heavenly sovereign and an 8th-grade alchemist. Now that he was a saint, he might even be a 9th-grade alchemist. City Lord Yi, is there any use in doing this? In the City Lord's mansion's main hall, Zhao Heng had a worried expression and said, relying on those heavenly sovereigns shouldn't be able to pose a threat to Gong Yangqing. Heavenly sovereigns naturally can't pose a threat to Gong Yangqing, and even Mo Min can't contend against them. Yi Jiansong smiled and said, but the forces behind them aren't weak. Basically, every one of them has a saint. City Lord Yi is right. Meng Chang'an nodded and agreed. Tomorrow will be a fierce battle. We need to be fully prepared, and the forces behind these cultivators should be able to help us. I hope so. Zhao Heng took a deep breath and said. For some reason, Zhao Heng felt that something big was about to happen. With such a big thing happening here, Gong Yangqing would definitely be the first to know. And with Gong Yangqing's ability, he would definitely think of a way to deal with it. Although the Alchemy Emperor City still looked very tranquil on the surface, Zhao Heng knew that actually, a storm was already brewing in the dark. Crack! At the same time, in a certain room in the Alchemy Association, Gong Yangqing smashed the table in front of him and coldly said, Trash. Not only did you lose your origin energy, you were also heavily injured. What use do I have for you? Opposite Gong Yangqing, Mo Min stood on the spot dejectedly, not daring to even breathe loudly. He had messed up this time. According to Gong Yangqing's character, he would definitely kill him. Now that Gong Yangqing was only reprimanding him, he naturally felt lucky. If it wasn't for the fact that I don't have many people I can use, I would have long torn you into pieces. Chapter 1872. Rumble. Ningyu had no idea what was happening in the Alchemy Union. At this moment, he was sitting in a closed room, waving his hands. Swoosh. In an instant, an illusory sword ray formed and slashed forward. Chi-chi. Everywhere the sword light passed, space was completely split into two, and it formed a long and narrow passageway. The power of the Supreme Nine Purities sword skill is not bad. Looking at the void that was split in half, Ningyu nodded in satisfaction. After 2 hours of cultivation, he finally succeeded in cultivating the last few moves of the Supreme Nine Purities sword skill. Supreme Nine Purities sword skill, the 9th move, Breaking Sword Ripple, the 10th move, Slashing Sword Ripple, the 11th move, Shaking Sword Ripple, and the 12th move, Divine Sword Ripple. After successfully cultivating the Divine Sword Ripple, Ningyu felt that his combat power had increased by at least 10%. Although the Supreme Nine Purities sword skill was only a sage lower-grade combat skill, it was still extremely terrifying when cultivated to the extreme. Continue cultivating. Ningyu did not relax just because he had successfully cultivated the Supreme Nine Purities sword skill. The human demon had told him that Gong Yangqing's strength was unfathomable. Not to mention that he had successfully cultivated the Supreme Nine Purities sword skill. Even if he successfully cultivated the Emperor God technique, he might not be able to compete with Gong Yangqing. Of course, it did not mean that Gong Yangqing was invincible. As long as Ning Yu could successfully cultivate the middle 12 moves of the Netherworld Samsara Palm, killing Gong Yangqing would be a piece of cake. The first 12 moves of the Netherworld Samsara Palm were equivalent to Sage lower-grade combat skills. According to Ning Yu's speculation, the middle 12 moves should be equivalent to Sage upper-grade combat skills. As for the last 12 moves, they had already surpassed Sage upper-grade combat skills. Sky splitting. Not long ago, Ning Yu had successfully cultivated the 11th move of the Emperor God technique, heaven breaking. However, cultivating the 12th move, sky splitting, Ning Yu still felt that it was extremely difficult. As Ning Yu waved his hands, the surrounding void suddenly became extremely compressed. The power of sky splitting was many times stronger than heaven breaking. Ning Yu estimated that if he could successfully cultivate the sky splitter, his battle prowess would increase by at least 20%. As the Black Dragon sword was broken and the Red Fiend was still in seclusion, Ning Yu could only use his essence energy to conjure flying swords for cultivation. Fortunately, Ning Yu's essence chi was more vigorous. Even if he conjured a flying sword, it would not consume too much of it. Moreover, Ning Yu was devouring vitality while cultivating. After cultivating the spirit transformation art to the 9th layer, the speed at which Ning Yu absorbed essence almost broke through the sky. Even a peak sage cultivator could not catch up to him. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. During this 1 hour, Ning Yu continuously practiced the sky splitter. However, how difficult was it to master the sky splitter? In an hour, Ning Yu had only grasped the surface. Ning Yu's willpower was very strong. If he could not succeed in an hour, he would cultivate for 2 hours. If he could not succeed in 2 hours, he would cultivate for 3 hours. There were about 7 to 8 hours left before Gong Yangqing's public elixir refinement. Ning Yu did not believe that he could not successfully cultivate the sky splitter in 7 to 8 hours. 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, go! It was not until the 6th hour passed that Ning Yu suddenly opened his eyes and pointed at the void with his right hand. Boom! Ning Yu's finger caused the void to explode. I've finally mastered it. After pointing out with his finger, Ning Yu hurriedly retracted his palm. This was the city lord's residence. He did not want to destroy the city lord's residence because of sky splitter. The last 2 hours. Ning Yu frowned and secretly calculated the time. There were about 2 hours left before Gong Yangqing's public elixir refinement, and Ning Yu had already mastered the first 10 palms of the Netherworld Samsara Palm. According to Ning Yu's estimation, if he wanted to successfully cultivate the last 2 palms, the Creation Palm and the Sage Palm, 2 hours would not be enough. Although the first 12 palms of the Netherworld Samsara Palm were only equivalent to a low-grade Sage-level combat skill, the foundation was the most important. Only by mastering the first 12 palms could he continue to cultivate the middle 12 palms. Therefore, the difficulty of cultivating the first 12 palms of the Netherworld Samsara Palm was no less than that of the Emperor God technique. Let's give it a try. Ning Yu slightly exerted his perception, then gritted his teeth and decided to use the last 2 hours to cultivate the 11th palm, the Creation Palm. As for the 12th palm, Ning Yu did not expect to successfully cultivate it. Ning Yu was very satisfied to be able to master the 11th palm, the Creation Palm, in 2 hours. Tick, tick. Time always slipped away inadvertently. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours had passed. When the sun rose, Ning Yu's right fist turned into a palm and suddenly blasted out. Crack! Ning Yu's palm seemed weak, but in fact, it contained terrifying energy. Wherever the palm passed, ghosts and gods avoided. The closed door was directly blasted into 2 halves by Ning Yu. In a leap, Ning Yu came to the courtyard of the city lord's mansion. Enemy attack, quickly go help Ningyu. Ningyu's palm really made Yi Jiansong and the others exclaim. Even Yi Jiansong directly urged the many experts of the city lord's mansion to quickly rush to the room where Ningyu was. In addition to Yi Jiansong, even Meng Chang'an and Zhao Hang were like facing a great enemy. Ningyu's strength was the strongest on their side other than the human devil. If Ningyu was killed by the sneak attack, then today's trip to the Pill Emperor Square was destined to be disastrous. Who dares to trespass the city lord's mansion? Meng Chang'an and Yi Jiansong just met and yelled, could it be Gong Yangqing? Quickly activate the grand array, can't let him. Ningyu? However, Meng Chang'an's yell had yet to fade when he saw that familiar figure standing in the courtyard. Where's the enemy? Zhao Heng asked in puzzlement. I understand, there's no enemy at all. That commotion just now was caused by Ningyu. Meng Chang'an laughed bitterly and said, after one night, Ningyu's strength increased a lot again. Ningyu? Zhao Heng and Yi Jiansong exchanged glances, both seeing some shock from the other party's eyes. That commotion just now, according to their estimations, it should be caused by Mo Min, or a martial artist surpassing Mo Min. A day ago, Ningyu's strength could only be evenly matched with Mo Min. But now, the strength that Ningyu displayed already far surpassed Mo Min. How could Zhao Heng and the rest not be shocked? Is he still human? Zhao Heng was shocked in his heart. Previously, Zhao Heng concluded that Ningyu's martial Dao talent could be ranked in the top of the Devil Spirit realm. But now, Zhao Heng could basically conclude that Ningyu could at least be ranked in the top 3 of the Devil Spirit realm's peerless geniuses. In fact, Zhao Heng's heart even felt that Ningyu could be ranked in the top 2. Being able to rank first in a city in martial Dao talent was considered not bad. Being ranked first in a country was very strong. Being ranked first in a large region was extremely abnormal. But now, Ningyu could be ranked in the top 3 in the entire Devil Spirit realm. This kind of heaven-defying talent, how could Zhao Heng not be surprised? Let's go to the Pill Emperor Square. Chapter 1873. The Pill Emperor Plaza was located at the center of the Pill Emperor City. Today's Pill Emperor Plaza was especially bustling. In the beginning, Gong Yangqing had strict requirements for spectators. Cultivations below the Heavenly Sovereign Realm and Soul Force below the 8th grade Sovereign Realm couldn't participate. It was so much so that as more cultivators entered the Pill Emperor City, Gong Yangqing had even raised the standards. But for some reason, Gong Yangqing suddenly announced that he would remove those requirements this morning, and anyone could come and watch. This news had instantly caused an uproar in the Pill Emperor City. Thus, cultivators of the Manifestation Realm, Yin-Yang Realm, and True Martial Realm all headed for the Pill Emperor Plaza. Fortunately, the Pill Emperor Plaza was the size of several football fields, and it could accommodate tens of thousands of people without being crowded. Otherwise, just the people of the Pill Emperor City alone would fill up the plaza. At this moment, outside the Pill Emperor Plaza, why are there so many people? Yi Jiansong was a little shocked as he looked at the crowd before him. Yi Jiansong had expected a large number of people to enter the Pill Emperor City, but he never expected that there would be so many. Rolling his eyes, Ningyu said, "It's normal for so many people to come. If there weren't many, then I would feel that it's abnormal." Ever since he integrated with the origin energy, Ningyu had thoroughly understood how terrifying the origin energy was. Yesterday, Yi Jiansong had spread the news that Gong Yangqing possessed the origin energy. So it wasn't surprising for so many people to come from the Pill Emperor City. According to Ningyu's speculations, these people before him were only the vanguard. Most of the true experts were probably hidden in the void, and they wouldn't show themselves unless it was necessary. Ningyu used his perception power a little and found that there were at least 4 or 5 warriors at the late stage of Sage Realm within a radius of more than 10 meters with him as the center. Senior Human Demon, have you found Ning Lu and the little Qilin? Ningyu retracted his perception and started to communicate with the human demon. There were countless experts in the Pill Emperor Plaza, and there were also many Saint Realm cultivators. Ningyu did not dare to be careless, so he used his perception to probe. And the human devil was very powerful. In the immortal spirit realm, he was almost a top-notch expert. At the very least, it wouldn't attract other people's attention if the human demons used their perception to probe. Not yet. In the sky, the demonic human shook his head. There will be a fierce battle soon, be careful. Understood. Ningyu nodded. Since he dared to come today, he was prepared to fight. Rumble. Before long, a huge rumbling sound suddenly sounded above the Pill Emperor Plaza. Whoosh! The rumbling attracted everyone's attention. Caw-caw. Just as his gaze shifted to the sky above the Pill Emperor Plaza, Ningyu's expression instantly turned gloomy. In the air, Gong Yangqing grabbed Gu Yan with his left hand and Zhang Chang with his right. Gu Yan's and Zhang Chang's heads exploded on the spot like rubber balls. Immediately after, Gong Yangqing opened his mouth and sucked hard, sucking in all the blood mist from the explosion. Xiao! Xiao! Subsequently, Gong Yangqing flung Gu Yan's and Zhang Chang's corpses toward Ningyu. Wherever the 2 corpses passed, the crowd made way. Not long after, the 2 corpses landed in front of Ningyu. Whoosh! The sudden change caused the entire Pill Emperor's square to go silent. This kind of silence was abnormally frightening. Not even the sound of breathing could be heard. A show of strength. Some people who knew the inside story knew that Gong Yangqing was trying to show Ningyu his strength. Everyone's gaze shifted to Ningyu, wanting to see how Ningyu would respond to Gong Yangqing. Under everyone's gaze, Ningyu leaped, directly charging toward Gong Yangqing. Whoosh! Ningyu's action really surprised everyone. Gong Yangqing's strength had reached a terrifying level. Ningyu's cultivation was only at the middle stage Sage Realm. How could he dare to confront Gong Yangqing head-on? I admit that after the battle yesterday, Ningyu's strength is indeed very strong. But so what if he's strong? Having a brain problem is a sore point. That's right. Ningyu is definitely not Gong Yangqing's opponent. He probably can't even block one move from Gong Yangqing. Anyone who looks down on Ningyu will pay the price. A black-clothed martial artist said coldly. However, the black-clothed martial artist's words obviously did not affect everyone. Because everyone could see that whether it was cultivation or strength, Ningyu was not on the same level as Gong Yangqing. Damn it! Seeing Ningyu rush out, Yi Jiansong, Meng Chang'an, and the others looked at each other, then immediately rose from the ground and rushed out together. Anyway, there would be a battle sooner or later. A little earlier or a little later would not make any difference. In midair, seeing Ningyu rush towards him, Gong Yangqing faintly felt that something was wrong. Logically speaking, as long as Ningyu was not a fool, it was absolutely impossible for him to attack him. After all, Ningyu was only at the middle stage Sage Realm, while he was at the peak Sage Realm. In the case of using the origin energy, he could even exert the combat strength of a sage great perfection. Could it be that Ningyu has some trump card? Suddenly, Gong Yangqing's expression changed. Since Ningyu dared to rush towards him so unscrupulously, there was only one possibility. He had a powerful trump card. Mo Min, go and test Ningyu's strength. Thinking of this, Gong Yangqing waved his sleeves and said calmly, "If it's possible, I hope you can capture him alive." Yes. Behind Gong Yangqing, Mo Min leaped and directly attacked Ningyu. Why didn't Gong Yangqing attack? Could it be that Gong Yangqing feels that he's not Ningyu's match? Nonsense. Gong Yangqing is powerful and doesn't need him to attack at all to deal with Ningyu. Otherwise, people will say that he's bullying others. What you said is not without reason. Gong Yangqing is indeed much stronger than Ningyu. It's understandable that he doesn't attack. Seeing that Gong Yangqing did not attack and asked Mo Min to attack instead, everyone in the square started discussing. However, everyone's thoughts were more or less the same. Gong Yangqing was a person of virtue and prestige. The reason why he did not attack Ningyu was because he did not want to become a laughingstock. What the hell? In the void, Li Weilong from the Sacred Heavens sect stared at Ningyu, hoping to see some clues. Ordinary martial artists could not tell how strong Ningyu was, but Li Weilong could see it clearly. Ningyu's strength was comparable to that Mo Min's. At most, he was just a little stronger than Mo Min. At the same time, Li Weilong was a little disappointed. Other than Li Weilong, Wu Patian from the Martial region, God of War Crane from the God of War region, and other peak sage powerhouses were all a little disappointed. These top powerhouses all hoped that Gong Yangqing and Ningyu would face each other head-on. Because only then would Human Demon help Ningyu. And if Human Demon helped Ningyu, he would definitely fight to the death with Gong Yangqing. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.